Bettor Sports Live.
Difference of 2 seconds, game clock and shot clock. Harden sizing up Harper. It's a three. Good! Harden's got 45! Timeout, Boston!
14-0 run. Russell guarded by Wiggins. Tough shot. Big bucket for D'Angelo Russell.
1 point game. Knicks in front. Randall backing in. Off the double team. Jumper, Hart. Splash!
This is Bettor Sports Live with Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Network.
That's right. Here we are. It is Wednesday night, and you got me, Lisa Ann, and my co-host Rick Kamla with you for the next 3 hours. We're going to talk NBA playoffs. We're going to talk about what went down in the NFL draft last week. We know Aaron Rodgers is a very happy New Yorker in this moment. Lots to cover, but first, let's catch up. Rick Kamla, how are you today, man?
Lisa Ann, we only get, a weekly show here. It is so good to see you. So blessed to be here on the air with you. It would be, I don't know, like doing more of these shows would be absolutely fantastic. But the anticipation, the build up to the event, that is Bettor Sports Live with Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. It's a bit like a week in the NFL. It builds, pop, Sunday happens. So I'm obviously geeked. I got baseball on right now. We got hoops at 8 o'clock. We got the draft to talk about. Where do you want to send us off first here, LA?
Well, I don't want to forget to thank the TNT for that opening sound. Also to thank our producer at Heavy T on Air. Before we get to your Ricky's props and before we talk any sports, yesterday, I did something that I've been trying to do for a year, but Mother Nature had not yet allowed me. And almost again yesterday, I got boned almost because it rained. But there's this thing in this city called the Climb on the Edge. The Edge is this beautiful structure building on top of the Hudson Yards Mall down in Hudson Yards, New York City. Okay, so the Edge is this glass structure. You get to look all over the city. It's pretty sick. You can look right over at the vessel. It's beautiful. The Climb is where you climb outside on the side of the building all the way up to the top of the building, and then you're suspended and you just hang off the back of the building.
Wow.
I put my you get a little medal for doing the climb. I put it right there, so it would be like my one tchotchke right there. But you can see the pictures on my Instagram, everybody. It was an amazing experience. I went with my content creator, Kay, so we could put together a whole YouTube video of the climb and the whole process. But we had scheduled it a couple months ago when Kay was in town from Nashville, rained out. Went yesterday morning, 9 a.m. I was like, all right, we're going to make it. It's not going to rain until 11. Started lightning. Can't go up on the top of a metal building when it's lightning. So we rescheduled for 4 p.m. We got it in. It's an awesome experience. Anybody who's coming to New York City that isn't afraid of heights, you got to do it. If you are afraid of heights, there's no risk to it. Like you have a harness when you're climbing up the side of the building. The harness is attached to this mechanism. I kind of felt like this is a very low risk activity, but we're going to get great photos out. It wasn't like paragliding in Switzerland or skydiving or bungee jumping or any of the other things I've done. It was just like, oh, this is really cool and it's really pretty, but I did not feel afraid.
Well, that's good. And look,
God, I like the death-defying once in a while. I like to jolt the system. I like to think I could die right now, and if I did, how do I feel about my life? All right, I'm good. That's what you say to yourself when you skydive. That's what you say when you meet a stranger in Switzerland who takes you in a van with a duffel bag to open up a parachute on a mountain and looks at a windsock and said, well, if it's windy enough, when we take our 5 steps, we'll either fall down the mountain if it's not windy enough, or if it's windy enough, we're just going to take off. And I was like, okay, this is how I could die. So, and I was fine with that. None of that is fine. Got some sick photos, but none of that.
I definitely do not live in fear. So I'll say that. I have done some very, very wild stuff in my day, LA. Little bit, a few years on earth here have gone by. I've gotten more conservative with all that kind of stuff. More to lose, I guess, and all that kind of stuff. But
I think if you're a parent, you probably stop doing that stuff, right? Once you have kids, you're like, I'm responsible for other humans. I'm responsible for 2 plants. You know what I mean? That's it.
Correct. Once upon a time in Colorado, it was my birthday. I lived out there, LA, from 96 to 98. The first regime took me to a skydiving place, okay?
Yep.
Because we had both wanted to do it, and we were doing it. It was my birthday, it was the whole thing, and I was going to jump out of a plane. And the wind picked up, the gray clouds came in, and they said, "That's it, we can't do it. So you're out of luck." Gave us our money back. And we just went on with our lives, and I never went back and did it. And I have not skydived since.
You never went back and did it?
No, and I don't know why. It was the whole thing was weird, but it was the first regime, so flush all, that whole part. But I wanted to do it, but didn't. And so I don't know. Maybe spirit, maybe the other side was like, this is not for you. I don't know. I think that way, but it wasn't
Byron
meant
in the
to be
room
that
wants
day.
to know if I would shark dive. Of course I would. Obviously, who's taking
Under
me
what
shark diving?
circumstances and what rules of engagement would you shark dive? Because
Well,
I've
the
done
other
it.
people that do. Were they in cage? Were you in a cage? Or were
Okay,
you
so
just
check it out. They're sharks, but they're not that big, and they don't really attack. Okay.
Yeah,
And
what fun is that,
honestly,
Rick?
I don't know why the hell I did this. Charity set this up on, I believe, our honeymoon, maybe one of our Caribbean vacations. I can't remember right now, but it was a dive with sharks thing. I was like, all right, screw it, let's do it. And then we got there, and she didn't jump off the boat into the water with the sharks, but of course I had to. So I'm out there, and then Charity, who I love, and she is awesome. She was throwing chum at my dome. I'm not making this up. She was literally like, think like the crinkled up paper you throw in the trash can.
Shark
Chum
diving
at
will
my
be
dome.
on the list for sure. I'd
How
like to
awesome is
welcome
that?
everybody in the room. We got Scott, we got Pitt, we got Albert, we got Byron, we got Jeff, we got Bettor Boss. We got everybody up in here. So I guess they're here
We got
because
sharks.
they know they want some Ricky's props. But I had to tell you about the Edge, the city climb. Glad I finally did it.
Is it a new thing, or has it been going on for a while?
Okay, so I found out about it October 2021. They had put some signs out that it was going to be opening on Memorial Day weekend. And so my friend Kay, that I was there with that time, I was like, here's what we're going to do. We're going to watch them open this thing. 3 months goes by and nobody dies. We're doing it.
Right, because
so
you
that's
got to
what we
just
did.
let it get all the kinks out and stuff, right?
Sure. And that's exactly what we did. We let it go on for 90 days. Then I ordered our tickets. We started plotting this out. It just took us till now to accomplish it.
Did
Because
anybody
every once
die
in a
in the
while-
meantime?
Nope, nobody died.
Okay, all right,
It's
good. Good.
it's actually a very safe activity. That's what made me kind of like, oh, yawn. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, there's no moment where I'm like, is this how I die? Like, I hope, I'll have to make up for it this weekend in Vegas, which I'm sure I will. So let's go through this right here. Let's talk about what you got going. It is Ricky's Props. Everybody, you can get in on these right here. We're going to talk a lot of NBA tonight. These props are going to be the bed of it all. So you got Jaylen Brown versus Philadelphia, over 24.5 points. The number on that one is minus 140. Tell us about it, Ricky Props.
Young man, we need a game tonight. Boston needs a game tonight. Rick Kamla needs a game tonight. Lisa Ann needs a game tonight. Jaylen Brown's going to go tonight, LA. Bounce back alert. Brown got off to a great start in game one. But then Tatum started to get rolling, and the pendulum never swung back to Brown. And a lot of that was his fault. Had the rock, had opportunities, wasn't hunting his shot, pardon me, and wasn't driving, letting the defense come up and force him to give the ball up. It wasn't the right approach. Pardon me. When he is interviewed after tonight's game, LA, he is going to say the words, I needed to be more aggressive tonight. Okay. I promise you, he's probably going to get the walk-off tonight, and he's going to say those words. Mark my words. Game one, he had 23 points, LA. He took 10 shots. Jaylen Brown took 10 shots. Come on, there's a major correction coming here. He's going to be up around 20 shots tonight. Embiid is back for Philly. Brown's got to fire tonight, and he will, LA.
Embiid is back from Philly as the new MVP for this season. And that is exactly what, when you were out that week because you were covering for the Morning Man on Mad Dog, Steph and I discussed the fact that we did not want Embiid to be like the chick from 27 Dresses that was like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. So he is no longer the bridesmaid. He is the bride of the season. Congratulations to our friend Joel Embiid. You got another Jaylen Brown here. So you're feeling your boy Jaylen Brown in a big way. You got Jaylen Brown versus Philadelphia over 2.5 threes. The number on that one is minus 105.
He's going over on the points. He's going over on the threes, LA. You know this. They are, it's a stat, it's a bit of like a prop parlay here, I guess, without the parlay. You can parlay it if you want, because I think they marry perfectly with each other. And this is a bang on, multiply your money kind of thing. It's 2.5 threes, LA. And I went into that search saying, and I looked at his game log and I said, anything, I said, please give me 2.5 threes. Give me. And it was, okay. Because it might've been 3.5. And then I'd just be staying away. 2.5 is a low number for him. He's been over this number in 4 straight, 3, 4, 6, 3. And like I said, LA, he's going to be in hunter mode tonight, not deferential mode tonight. So I think we're going to hit the over on his points and his threes.
I like it. All right. The last one you got here right now for Ricky's props. You got Jason Tatum versus Philadelphia over 29.5 points. The number is -125.
So I have a rebound prop on Tatum as well. So there's that. Tatum over 29.5 points here, LA. I'm going to speak in some hyperbole right here. I know that you watch and adore Pat McAfee and his great show. I know you watch a lot of the panel shows. Do you watch like Stephen A. and Skip? And let me just ask you that. Do you watch those shows?
Absolutely not. You know how I feel about Stephen A. It is not great. I do not like his takes. He's a little aggressive. So my morning starts out early with Greeny.
But Greeny's so Get Up is you watch Get Up.
Greeny's my guy. But then when Get Up switches over at 10 a.m. and Stephen A. comes in, I got my earbuds on. I got to run to my device and change over to Greeny's show.
Oh, wow.
I love his producers. I love his crew on Greeny. They're all magnificent. So I get my morning is Greeny all the way up because sometimes I pause a show and then I'll listen. Then noon, it's a trigger. Noon, it's McAfee time. Like there's nothing else that matters. I'm either watching on the big screen here on YouTube or I'm listening to it when I'm out doing stuff, but it's McAfee.
I love it. That glimpse into your day was perfect. Now, LA, I'm going to hit you with some hyperbole here, but it's all absolutely accurate. This is the most important game of Jason Tatum's season and the most important game of his life. We're going to get everything from Jason Tatum tonight, all right? He's never been in this spot before, LA. Number 4 on the MVP list, obviously, that came out yesterday. He's never been that high. Last year, he was 6. Right now, the Boston Celtics are a plus 200 to win it all. They're the prohibitive favorites to win this gold ball. He's never been in that spot at this point before. Heading into a must-win game, down 0-1 at home with games 3 and 4 at Philadelphia. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to make it even more challenging for you, and I'm going to put Joel Embiid back on the basketball court, okay? Go. And he's going to. There's no tomorrow. It's got to be about a big game from Jason Tatum. He's been over this number in 3 of the last 4, LA. And Tatum has to go big tonight. He just does. And it's a big number here, but I don't look at it, ooh, it's expensive. This is his average, okay? This is where he lives. So I'm not like, oh, it's 29.5. He lives here, okay? And with the inspiration of what all this is that's going to be going on tonight, he's going to pop over this number tonight.
So we know tonight at 8 o'clock, we got the Sixers taking on the Celtics. And we know Embiid is back, which is a great sign. We've got Justin Fensterman coming up and joining us at 7:20. So we got a little 7 minutes here. We're going to bring Justin right in. He knows the platform. We don't need to go to break. We can go to break after Justin. So let's talk about, you asked a question. I saw it come in earlier. Aaron Rodgers in New York City. Let me just say something right now. Could Aaron Rodgers have signed this deal with the Jets at a better time for New York sports? I mean, he's gotten to go to hockey playoffs. He's going to NBA playoffs. He's sitting with Sauce Gardner last night, just chilling like a billet. It's so great. What an introduction for your star quarterback to your city. Like it for him, this is so different. He lives in Malibu, but he spent so much time in Green Bay. You don't have the electricity that you have here in this city on this island, right? MSG playoffs. MSG is like next level MSG. And he's really vibing and feeling all of it. And I think it's just so cool for everybody to see him and get to see that he's embracing himself as a New Yorker for the time being.
I agree with everything you said, and the optics are so cool. If Derek Carr went to the Jets and he was at the Garden, they would show him and it would be on to the next, right? It wouldn't be a thing. It's
I
Aaron
don't know if
Rodgers.
they would even show him. Let me tell you this. I can remember Derek Carr walking on Radio Row and he was so casual. He's almost not recognizable. Like he doesn't rock with a crew. He's not a fancy watch guy. So he just looks like a guy, right? So like, yeah, they'd show Derek Carr, but yes, if he was the Jets quarterback, all the Jets fans would know who he is by now, right? They just seen his mug all over everything, but it is not the same as Aaron Rodgers, the stardom, the big personality, the what the city had to wait for this trade to actually be completed. All the week by week it was, I don't know if it's going to happen. Is it going to happen? I don't know if it's going to happen. Then it happens, and he lands here at the most epic time in a sports season, right? For MSG.
Epic.
Epic.
And in LA, there's the page 6 of it all. Hello. Right? Tell me that Aaron Rodgers has been living on page 6 even before he got traded to the Jets, right? The relationship with her and the relationship with her and the relationship with her. That stuff's all page 6 stuff, right? Even if he's the Green Bay Packers QB. Correct me if I'm wrong.
It's funny. Like on occasion, that stuff kind of drips down, but it's not that much of a prayer. Like I think it all depends who the writer for page 6 is, because they seem to gravitate towards more like who's dating a Kardashian or a Jenner than an athlete that maybe this writer isn't a sports fan or isn't a football fan. I mean, yeah, we know that he is seeing a daughter of the owner, I think, of the Bucks. That's kind of been out there, but it really has not been any personal conversation. It's just been pictures of him sitting at games with like tons of other celebrities and just like chilling with everybody and just vibing with the city. And that's been just incredible to see.
It was at the Ranger game, doing their chant after goal and all that kind of stuff. I mean, he is weaving himself into that fabric, and you wonder how long this run's going to be. Is it going to be 1 year? Is he going to have some kind of like Brady reawakening? I mean, you don't need to remind her, but some of our audience might. Tom Brady was literally having dirt shoveled upon himself in a grave when he left New England. He looked done, cooked, toasty, crispy, the whole thing. And we saw what happened. So maybe Rodgers goes to the Jets and feels those New York vibes, and he's got like 3-4 more years in him. I don't know.
And let's also not forget Matthew Stafford leaves his home, goes to Los Angeles and wins a Super Bowl, right? So we've seen older quarterbacks go and move into a place where there's more juice, and it's just what they need to kind of prolong their career. Stafford being different because the second season with injury, but still 2 quarterbacks that moved from their respective teams that they played for a very long time, moving to a new home. It would be even better if the Meadowlands was like hosting the Super Bowl, because then I'd be like buying the hype. I'd be like, all right, well, Brady moved and we said that no team has ever played a Super Bowl in their home stadium, and look what's happening. And then like, oh, Stafford moves and then the Rams, like, oh, it's SoFi. So like, if that would be it, but it's just great. It's great for New York sports. It's great for the athletes that are excited. It's also great to see that Aaron Rodgers is already out there throwing the ball around, looking fit as hell, and then also brings in his good buddy, Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb is a Jet. On the and I'll talk to that in just a minute. First, a quick joke. You had Brady in the first-year title. You had Stafford in the first-year title. You have Rodgers this year. Who knows? And then you had Russell Wilson. He did not, LA, get the memo on the chronology of that whole plan.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson isn't as old, so it's a bit different. He's not in his late 30s. And Russell Wilson wasn't making a move to, like, for Brady and Stafford, it was very different because they were both moving to the stadium where the Super Bowl was being hosted. That made a lot of bettors pull back on putting money on a Super Bowl run because it had never happened in NFL history yet, until those two guys made it happen, that a team played a Super Bowl in their home stadium.
Yeah, I totally get it, and I get the age thing, which makes it even more unconscionable that Russell Wilson would have had the season that he had last year because he's not as old as these guys, but I digress. Randall Cobb is a Jet. Do I think he will be fantasy relevant? I do not, LA. I think he'll be a bench guy, a wise old owl in the wide receiver room, and basically this is an indication that Aaron Rodgers has a ton of say over personnel decisions by the Jets. And it tells me that that was a part of the agreement for him to go there. Okay. Lazard, Randall Cobb, who's next?
I think it's great because, when you go out in the city, you want to rock with your crew, right? You don't want to be rolling around the city by yourself. You want to roll deep. And now Rodgers has the opportunity to roll deep. All his people are here. You know what I mean? I think it's fantastic. And I do think, like, I get it. Randall Cobb's not going to be highly drafted, but I do think that Rodgers will feed him some plays and give him the ball and balance things out. What Aaron Rodgers has done with his management style, pseudo to like a LeBron, has built a team around him that is completely different than last year. And let's not forget, the one thing that the Jets really did need to work on was their defense. They have a very good defense. So what he's done by bringing these pieces, Lazard, like, this is remarkable. And I love that he's already here. I love that he's into the preseason program, which is something he wasn't doing in Green Bay. He just feels welcome. You can see it. It's giving him juice. And I'm stoked for everybody that is a Jets fan, including Greeny, who is a huge Jets fan and who is like super happy this happened.
Is he realistic, though, about the expectations? The AFC is tougher at the top than the NFC. Like, I don't even know if they're going to make the playoffs, LA. I like Miami a lot, right? I like Jacksonville a lot. And then you've got KC and Buffalo and Cincinnati. That leaves 2 spots. You know what I'm saying?
I get it, but this is a spite season for one Aaron Rodgers, who came out of the darkness retreat thinking that he was going to still play for Green Bay and found out they were mad dog talking shit on him. And so he decided, you know what? F you. Let's work this out and end this bad relationship. And now I'm going to show you. So yes, the competition is steeper for sure, but being in the New York sports market, the love is much stronger. The support is much greater. And guess what? These fans loved their Jets for years, even though they sucked.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about it. Look, what the Jets have is hope. They have upside. They have belief, okay? You can win 10 games with Aaron Rodgers. You can. You might win 11. You might challenge for the division crown. All of that is possible now because you have Aaron Rodgers. LA, all they needed was a professional at that quarterback position. They don't need 50 touchdowns and 4,900 yards. They don't even be great. They don't even need that. They just need 4,300 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 picks, right? They just need professional. And I think Aaron Rodgers can bring that to them.
I completely agree. You know who's going to bring something to us? Our boy, Justin Fensterman. He is ready to join us. You all can follow him at Fensty Sports. He's a fantasy alarm better cast Monday through Thursday, 8 to 10 p.m. BSN host, sports analyst for Fantasy Alarm. And Justin, it is great to see you tonight. I know you want to talk a lot of NBA, but first and foremost, how close am I to winning the big money that Adam Ronis is not getting married in the timeline you had put on there?
You're going to lose. You're going to lose, Lisa. It's so good being with you and Ricky Props. I'm just telling you, I don't know things. I don't know any insider info.
I know what's up. I know there's a woman living in his house right now.
Listen, oh, wow.
I don't know anything, but Lisa, if I'm
everything, Justin. Why are you coming on to our show and trying to act like you don't know everything right now?
I got to play up the narrative a little bit. I got to keep you sweating a little bit here. But
I feel like there's some 90 Day Fiance shit going on behind our back. That's what's happening. Okay.
Hey, if he's happy, we're happy at the end of the day. And
all I know is she cooks. So he's happy. Like, I'm like, what's it all about? He's like, she's a great cook. We've been going to Whole Foods. Been buying
Lisa, let me tell you, he's learned recently how to boil water. He's almost got it down.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that.
He's almost got it down. He knows how to turn the stove on. So that's a good sign. So,
let me just tell you, before a major snowstorm, I would reach out to Adam and I'd be like, yo, you better go to the store because you're not going to be able to get delivery, what have you. He would never do it. He'd have to walk to gas stations to try and get food. Okay, gas stations when you had every opportunity. So the main thing that he needs is a woman that cooks. But the main thing that we need from you, Justin, is talk some NBA because I know you're all up in the hardwood. So let's talk about it. Tonight's game, what do you see happening now that we know Embiid is playing? Celtics not looking like they did at the beginning of the season and through the mid-stretch of the season. And Embiid is going to be on his little fairy dust because he's wearing his bridal gown because he's no longer a bridesmaid. He's actually the MVP of the NBA.
Absolutely. And tonight with him being back, it's weird how the reporting changes in 48 hours. 48 hours ago, we were told that the guy could barely run. Now, all of a sudden, he's going to play in this game. And because of that, it makes me worry about Philly tonight because Boston, if they're not going to produce in the post. If they're not going to bang with the Philly bigs, they're going to have to beat them with speed. A little bit of a Knicks strategy from 1970 against the Los Angeles Lakers. You got to beat them with speed. You got to run. I was listening to you, Ricky Props, with what you were talking about before. And to quote Rick Kamla, Jaylen Brown has to be activated tonight in order for Boston to even its series. So I'm in line with you, Rick. So Lisa and Rick, I think that the Boston Celtics are evening this series. I know with Joel Embiid back, it is very threatening. We just don't know what his mobility is going to be. And if Philly tries to run, he's going to be going down the court slow as molasses. That's not going to help the flow of their offense.
Fensty, so in LA, in our audience, I have been struggling with Joel Embiid's knee this whole time. Comes out on Friday that he's going to miss the Game 4 against Brooklyn with a knee sprain. And Woj said there's optimism he will be back early next week, 3 days later. And then we hear Doc, his leg is falling off. And all of these other reports. And he went and had a PRP injection. And he can't even walk. And oh my God, like the sales job on this injury. And so now he's back for game 2. I mean, I literally think that game 1, the DNP was a blend of rest, rehab, and load management. Okay. Let's just see what we do in game 1 against Boston. Because guys, I can't tell you how many ball players I've talked to, and I've asked them, okay, with a bad ankle sprain, a knee sprain, like a legit injury. Okay. How much does 2 days matter in your recovery? Every single player has told me it doesn't matter. Okay, if you're talking about a garden variety sprained ankle or a jammed thumb or something like that, they say 2 days matters a lot. Maybe a back tweak, 2 days soreness goes down, you're good. A major injury like Joel Embiid supposedly had, okay, come on, man, come on. So I've been jaundiced on this whole thing, Fensty in LA, and to hear that he's playing tonight, it wouldn't surprise me if Embiid was diving on the floor and looking absolutely fantastic tonight.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's just with the crazy reporting that we have and this guy being no stranger to injury. One of the things that I wrote up on fantasyalarm.com with what he can do to maybe not have to deal with footwork as much, because with his knee, he's going to have to, when he's in the post, position himself a lot. And with that, being a good post player requires a lot of footwork and good footwork and rhythmic footwork. What Joel Embiid is also good at, though, good at shooting from the elbow, decent at shooting from the arc as well. So maybe if they set him up a little bit at the elbow, then it's not as much wear and tear on the offensive end on his knee. And I think what everyone forgets.
Good luck with that, though, Fensty, because that would require an adjustment from Doc Rivers. I'm not sure he's willing to
Rick,
do that.
Let me ask you this, because you go all the way back to the beginning of NBA TV, so you know your history here. When Tobias Harris came into this league, he was a banger. He wasn't a jump shooter. This guy was attacking the rim full force, kind of like R.J. Barrett, except upper and bigger.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. And then he went to L.A. and he became this Detroit became this jump shooter.
Right.
So because of that, I think what you could do is you could have Embiid just hang at the elbow, at least for the first part of the game. And instead of having Tobias Harris on the other side of the paint at the other end of the elbow, why don't you have him drive a little bit, draw some contact? He's an excellent scorer, but with the amount of top-heavy scorers that they have in Philly, he sometimes gets marginalized. I think tonight a great game plan that would throw the Celtics off a little bit, have Joel Embiid hang out there at the elbow. He'll get some high-percentage shots, but force the defense to have to collapse on a driving Tobias Harris. They're not going to do that, but it's something I've been thinking about all day to make it work for Philly.
Let's go back to last night's games, because I think you know, Fensty, how exciting it is at MSG when the Knicks get to play good home games. Game 1 of this series, not great. Game 2, incredible. The Jimmy Butler situation was also surprising, him walking in, then not playing. That really, I think, affected the Heat. They really need Butler out there. But we'll start with this game first, then we'll go to the second game of the night. You know, Julius Randle is, he's been banged up with his ankle since mid-March, takes a day or two off, kind of comes back strong, still puts it all out there. He just seems to be a player that, will play through the pain. No one in New York expected the Knicks to go into the second round, right? No one.
Nope.
So where are we now? I mean, if Butler is not able to be 100%, do you think the Knicks can take this series?
I think they can, but if I'm a Knicks fan and after last night, I mean, the Knicks, that game for at least 3/4 of it looked like the Knicks were going to lose. The Heat had complete control of this game. They made an adjustment, Lisa, in game 1, which was critical crucial because the Knicks were burning them again and again in the paint. They shut down the paint, and they made the worst three-point shooting team in the postseason forced to shoot threes. And guess what? They were missing a lot of them. The Heat were as well in game one, but they were missing a lot of that. So going into this game, the Knicks needed somebody else to hit threes. And as good as a slasher and teardropper as Jalen Brunson is, he was the Knicks' best three-point shooter, the only person on the team that shot over 40% from downtown. So I thought that they would have to get him set up on the arc a little bit more, but the Heat have also found ways to counter it by forcing him to pass off. And going into last night, yes, did they get a few lucky breaks, maybe a lucky call or two? Absolutely, they did. They fight hard. That's one of the great things about this gritty Knicks team. Same with the Heat as well. It's like a mirror image almost with when you're seeing them. So do I think that the Knicks can take the series? I think they can, but it's not going to be easy. And let's remember now, Jimmy Butler's got a very long extended rest period before Saturday's game 3. So we'll have to see, because people are like, oh, he played on the ankle anyway, he's fine. People don't understand about ankle injuries, and I've suffered about 16 in my lifetime. It's not about what happens right after you injure the ankle. It's the next day and the day after that. The swelling and ice and elevation are the two secrets to getting that swelling down, and it could be a slow process. So when it comes to Jimmy Butler in or out, I still worry about the Knicks, not a reliable long-range shooting team, and the Heat have figured out ways to completely shut down the paint. So the Knicks' three-point shooting is going to have to be on point in order for them to win.
Are you playing in some sort of intramural league that we don't know about? Have you been in the G League? Like, how did you hurt your ankle 16 times, young man?
Hey, let's just say I wasn't very good at tying my shoes. We all have our flaws, right? I rolled my ankles so much, and doing some stupid things like being out in the woods playing frisbee golf. I'll step on a tree stump or something like that and completely roll the ankle. That's just kind of been what my life has been. I've never broken a bone in my life, knock on wood. But at the same time, suffering all those ankle injuries I have, really the big thing is the swelling after the next day or two. And some of these games are 48 hours later. Ice and elevation, that's the way to go.
Or you just rub some dirt on it and you play through it, man. You know, you could do that too. Fensty, let's talk about one of the, I don't know how I really put this into words, man. This Lakers and Warriors series, it's so freaking fun. I'm like a kid in a candy store, man. It is the finals in the second round. It's that level of basketball. My note-taking was more voluminous on that game, Fensty, than all the other games, right? It's just sinking your teeth into it like a donut when you're starving. You know what I mean? And so I want to talk to you about Vanderbilt against Curry, because I knew that Vanderbilt would start on Steph Curry, Fensty, or at least I thought he would, and he did. Okay. I did not think that Vando would be able to run with Curry and stay with him and go loop to loop to loop to loop to loop. And he did. And he did a phenomenal defensive job head up on Steph Curry. And Fensty, it's got me thinking that how does Golden State win this basketball series if Steph Curry can't be awesome mega Steph Curry, and he's a somewhat muted version of himself, 27 points last night. That's a muted version of Steph. How do the Warriors win this series if Steph can't run away and hide from Jared Vanderbilt?
Well, it comes down to the guy who took a way long-range shot at a critical point of the game in Jordan Poole, which was too far out. I get it. You have Schroeder. You're probably seeing him out of the corner of your eye there. So you want to take the shot while you think you have a high percentage shot. Or maybe you just hold on to the ball, fake him out, have him running towards the out-of-bounds sideline, and then take 2 steps in and get yourself a better shot. Jordan Poole is going to have to make consistent impacts. He has not done that in the playoffs. He's disappeared. He's pulled the Allen Houston disappearing act a lot in the postseason. And they're going to need him, because if Steph Curry is going to be covered and suffocated as much as he has been defensively in that game, and the Lakers defense is no joke since the trade deadline, then Jordan Poole is going to have to be that guy. Jordan Poole not only shooting threes and hitting those threes, but another guy drive the rim, drive it to the lane. And when you have someone as good of a passer like Draymond Green hanging there at the elbow, he's very good with his soft bounce passes if someone's going to cut back door. I think it's got to be Jordan Poole. I mean, if you look down the Warriors roster, not really loaded too much with depth. A lot of their production will come from their starters. Poole is going to have to be the person to fill in that offense if Steph Curry is not going to be able to do it.
So staying with that game right now, this series is already getting interesting, but I have no trust for Anthony Davis to be able to keep up this type of play, right? This is a monster game. I worry how much he's going to deflate. They're going to be, in the home of the Golden State Warriors with their fans who know what it's like to be at this point of round 2 of the playoffs. The energy is there. The love is there. It's a day away. Can Anthony Davis be consistent? I don't need you to do what you did last night. Go like 3 quarters there, but just do it for the rest of the series. And I think that's a lot to ask for AD, who can be a little bit up and down, up and down. I mean, the boys should just be blocking all the time because nothing makes me happier than seeing how many shots he can. He's like me in school, how my teachers used to tell my parents, you just need to apply yourself. He just needs to apply himself to constantly blocking. But what's your take on what Anthony Davis can do on Thursday?
I think that Anthony Davis is going to be the X factor for the Lakers in this series. I know you just mentioned the inconsistency. The Warriors are soft up front for some reason. You wouldn't think with a player like Draymond Green, a good elbow defender in Andrew Wiggins, and Kevon Looney, who's grabbing every single rebound under the sun in the last few games, you wouldn't think that it would be as good of a matchup as it is. But the Lakers can turn up the pace and Anthony Davis can run. And one of the things is the Warriors didn't grade well throughout the season at defending big men. The Lakers didn't as well, but the Lakers have learned how to turn it up a little bit. And I feel like the Warriors will continue to prioritize LeBron James. That's why I was more worried about LeBron James, anything with props or even DFS, than I was about Anthony Davis, because I thought the Andrew Wiggins matchup, which limited Jason Tatum so much in the finals last year, now facing LeBron, I thought LeBron was going to get double covered and Wiggins on him the entire game. So I'm feeling like Anthony Davis has the softer matchup. As long as Anthony Davis doesn't dribble too much on the perimeter, as long as Anthony Davis posts up a little bit and takes advantage of smaller matchups instead of always trying to drive, always trying to draw contact, then he's going to be able to succeed. It's when he's dribbling too much and he puts up a herky-jerky layup with his body motion going every which way possible. That's not a good Anthony Davis. That's an Anthony Davis that's trying to force the contact. He can beat the Warriors. He can beat up on this team. Many other big men, less skilled big men, have done it. So I feel good about him for the most part this series.
LA, are you ready for a little bit of story time with Justin Fensterman? Are you ready for a little story time?
It depends how long the story is going to be.
Well, we have 3 minutes left with Fensty, I believe.
Okay.
Is it 45 or 40? Fensty, I want to set you up. We usually say that there are no moral victories in fantasy sports. I found an example, a glitch in the matrix, and it's the run that Justin Fensterman went on in the Cam Dynasty, a 14-team Dynasty Basketball League. LA, we talk about it all the time. Justin Fensterman was in the 8 hole, okay? The 8 hole. Some don't even want me to have 8 teams in the playoffs. They want 6. Fensty goes all the way to the championship round, almost beats Ken Kreitz of RotoWire. And so he's like bummed out over here. I'm like, dude, this is one of the greatest things I've seen in fantasy. You almost pulled off an 8 seed going all the way to win one of the most competitive leagues in any sport on earth. I shout you out, Justin Fensterman.
You did, and I appreciate that, but I lost, Lisa, via a tiebreaker simply because I was the lower seed. That's what it was. Look, and I signed up for the league. I knew the rules beforehand, and because of that, I can't blame Rick at all. I'd feel a little bit better about it if it was a random category that decided the tiebreaker, but the whole fact that I'm the lower seed and that gives him the victory, and he's all on Twitter showing off about it and everything like that, and it's just like, come on, we tied there for a second, Rick, for a second. I was hoping you'd write an email that would have really upset Ken, being like, you know what? I'm splitting the pot. But again, I knew the rules going in, and the tiebreaker goes to the higher seed. And Lisa, that wasn't me.
But that's the grinder that Fensty is, bro. He's also doing this all day long. He's a busy man, but there's no doubt he's not going to let himself go down like that. Even though he didn't win it all, you still pulled yourself out of the gutter in the 8 spot and made it happen, Fensty. And also, I got to tell you, you're slimming down. Are you, what's changed in your life with this new svelte appearance since the last time I saw you?
Well, thank you very much. It's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. I'm cooked right now. No, I think for me, the biggest thing is I'm stopping the night eating, because I host late night shows. I have for the last few years, and I'm starving after these shows. You guys both know me.
Dude, sometimes halfway through the show, you're actually thinking about what you're going to eat as soon as the show is over, right?
It's popcorn.
It's
popcorn.
As long as you make it on the stove and not in the microwave, I can support that.
No, well, then you wouldn't support my old habits then. So I try. I've tried to set lofty goals. That hasn't worked. So I set a baby steps approach instead of having popcorn 5 nights a week at 10 or 11 p.m. Eastern time. Well, I'll maybe have it 2 times a week. Instead, reward myself, treat myself, make myself have the mental edge to earn it 2 days later. So trying not to night eat as much. And you know what? I had actually last month, I had COVID and it completely sapped my appetite. And after that, I said, you know what? My face was looking a little thinner and I just used COVID as a momentum, turning a negative into a positive. And I haven't stopped since. So COVID, it was a bad thing. It stunk for almost a month, but at the same time, curbed my appetite, gave me the jump start I needed. And I haven't stopped since.
I always tell my friends, you're one stomach flu away from your ideal weight.
Right, exactly. It's true. Trust me, as someone who has had food poisoning before, I know that, Lisa.
I'm always like, this is going to be great. At the end of the day, this isn't awesome now, but like, I'm going to get back in those other genes. But you look amazing. We appreciate you joining us so much. Where can everybody find your work right now, Justin?
Thank you guys again for having me. FantasyAlarm.com, also on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio, along with Adam Ronis, Monday through Thursday for Fantasy Alarm Bettercast, just keeping you updated with all the live scores, stats, and bets. And let's all win our bets tonight.
Great to see you. Thank you so much. Everybody give him a follow. We're going to get to a quick break. We get back. We're going to continue this NBA conversation. Rick and I will go back and forth. We'll also catch up with you. I did see Byron said, I thought there were no gas stoves in New York. That is so not true. That is false. That is fake news, Byron. That is not true. We all have gas stoves here. I know it sounds crazy, but we do. And so we'll get to some of your comments. I see a lot going on in the basketball conversation, and NHL playoffs have been incredibly exciting. You are right, Byron. They've been magical. All of that when we get back. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Monday Night Rants with Edward Rouse on Bettor Sports Network.
One player in minor league baseball is crushing. He has 7 home runs already, 9 games, 6 in a row, 15 RBIs, crushing almost every category in AAA baseball right now. Now, we've seen this before with Mr. Joe Adell. That's right, Joe Adell for Heavy T's, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Joe Adell, defensive liability. I'm going to say that right now. Now, there's a lot of fantasy dynasty believers in him. I'll give you that. He is putting up numbers in the AAA level right now. But my goodness, is he going to be able to get at-bats every day? I know there's the DH, but you also have Ohtani. Is there a world where we see Adell for the Angels be called up? Probably, but come on. But do I believe it or not in Joe Adell? Listen, he does have the offensive pedigree for your fantasy teams. High prospect. He once was a high prospect, very valued. He could easily come up and put up some numbers for your fantasy teams. Just where are they going to play him defensively? That's the only issue with him. So kudos to him for what he's doing. But ultimately, you got to think his time may be limited there in Anaheim. And I know that Heavy T's not a fan.
I can't stand Joe Adell, the biggest defensive liability. But you also kind of hit the hammer on the head there as well. He can't DH because Ohtani's a DH. So what do you do? So he's performing this well in AAA. You can only do one thing. The Angels need a lot of bullpen help. Trade him while his value is high. Give me someone like Daniel Bard, maybe an Aroldis Chapman, David Bednar out in Pittsburgh. Give me somebody, a couple pieces to fix his bullpen and get this man out of the farm system. I cannot stand Joe Adell. Dude cannot catch a ball to save his life. He can't react to a ball. He's throwing balls to the Astros dugout from the outfield instead of home plate. Get this dude off my team. Cannot stand him. Don't want him. It's kind of like the Mike Singletary speech. I want winners. This guy's not a winner. Get him the hell off my team. Don't want him. Get him out of here.
Welcome to Monday Night Rants with Heavy T.
I can't with this dude. I just can't. Every time I see him in an Angels uniform and he's playing the outfield, I lose about 3 hours of my life. Like it's just gone, and I'm never getting it back. And
Well,
it's all
good
because
news.
of Joe
Good
Dell.
news. Good news. Only 2.5 hours this year.
That does not make me feel any better. That makes me feel worse.
Okay.
Oh my God, Joe Adele, go away.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back right here. Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla, Bettor Sports Live. Great to see Fensty. You can follow at Fensty Sports. I love the NBA conversation. I want to remind you all, best ball season is here, and we're helping you draft winning teams on Fantasy Alarm and Bettor Sports Network. Check out the first best ball fantasy football draft featuring some of our top analysts like Howard Bender, Andrew Cooper, Britt Flynn, Corey Parson, and more. Now playing on YouTube at Fantasy Alarm and Bettor Sports Network. Learn winning draft strategies and find out which players you need to have on your fantasy football teams this season. Get in the huddle and start drafting best ball teams for your own on Underdog Fantasy. Visit fantasyalarm.com/underdog fantasy and use promo code Fantasy Alarm when signing up and receive a 100% deposit match up to $100. That's free money, yo. Use promo code Fantasy Alarm. We love free money. Speaking of free money, again, Rick, if you just peeped my Instagram, you'd know everything I'm doing all the time, right? So Monday night went to the Yankees game. So yesterday was the climb at the Edge. Monday night Yankees game, seats right behind home plate.
Wow.
And our seats were actually the distance of home plate to the pitcher's mound. That's where we were. It was amazing. Wow. The weather was perfect. A little chill in the air, but not like spring nice. Look, the Yankees were winning till they weren't. Little pitching change. That stadium, when they changed the pitcher, was electric. But I'm going to say this. It was my first time at a game with the pitch clock. It's very visible as a fan. So they have it multiple places on the scoreboard. And you know that right behind home plate, it's right there as well. It definitely makes it feel more like an NBA game because you have that thing in your mind where you're watching what's happening, but at the same time, you're clock watching. You're like, yo, what are you going to do? I get it. This is where it's much harder to catch someone base stealing. Everybody has to be quicker on their toes, but I absolutely love the pitch clock. And it really felt like that half hour must be when you're starting to fade, where you're just getting bored with it. That half hour made such a difference of the pace of the game. I loved it.
Okay, so no complaints for you. You weren't like, dang, that game was quick. I just got here. You weren't feeling rushed
it's
and
still
exited
2.5
out.
hours of your life, okay? It's still a lot of time, dude.
I don't look at that as a lot of time. You know what I mean?
You don't have as many things going on as I do. Right before the show, I got 1,800 photos delivered to me that I shot over the past 72 hours of events and things. And tonight, I got to go through these 1,800 photos, choose the ones I'm using, then send them back, get them processed. Then I got to label them. Then I got to get them out to their respective people. Like, I got shit to do, man. That half an hour is money time for me.
I hear you. What did you learn about the game of baseball being that close with what the umpire says, the catcher operating with the pitcher, maybe a hitter came up and had a word? What did you learn about baseball being that close to it?
We couldn't hear anything like that because, they're always playing music. There's always something going on. They have this new thing there, though. You can scan the scoreboard from your phone, and then you go live, and then they just use that as their new camera of everybody taking selfies. So you
oh, that's cool.
Your
cool.
So that's cool. Everybody's doing their own thing, and it's all self-shot. Very, very cool. Could be a risky endeavor, but everybody was on their best behavior. They did it early in the game before everybody was a little toasty. I was like, this could be risky.
How long are they serving beer at Yankee Stadium? Are they going
only till 7th.
BS. They shorten the game. They should extend the time that they're selling beer.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to think about people drinking and driving. You got to think about those types of things. And I think that's a good time. Also, it takes a while for them to close out everybody's tabs. So professionally, because I actually spoke to Sue about this, who was our attendant in our area. And I asked her if they were going to change it. She's like, for us to go around these areas and close out everybody's tab and give everybody back their credit cards, that kind of takes a whole inning. It's worked out fine for us, but we know eventually we're going to be up against it and we're probably going to be serving longer.
I mean, the franchises literally have have shaved money off of the bottom line with shortening the game. It's a half hour less that fans are in the stadium buying stuff. I mean, if I were an owner, like, I would want to do whatever I could artificially to get more money back. You know what I'm saying? Not that I care. It's not my money, but that's how I'd operate.
For me, the half an hour means I'll go to more games through the season because I'll have the time. Because you got to remember something too. Every stadium that you go to, you have to commute to get there. If you're driving, you got to get a parking spot. You know, there's all these things. It ends up being a 5 to 6 hour deal. That's like, I really want to play golf, but I know I can't put in a whole day on the golf course. So to me, it's like, oh, I'll just go to Top Golf or I'll just go to the range for now because I don't have that much time to commit to one thing. So for me, it opens up the fact that I'll definitely go to more games.
Well, good. Glad, you made it unscathed through the fantasy drafting season. And so I know you were excited about that and proud about that. But yeah, go check out some games. I wish the Yankees had a better product for you to go see. I know you're going to be going to see a bunch of Mets games as well. So, by the way, Max Scherzer did not make it out of the 4th inning against the Tigers, okay, in his first game coming off the suspension. So there's that.
Yeah, that's not great. He's out of rhythm. There's no doubt about it. But there's been a lot of rain back here too. I'm sure you've seen a lot of games getting postponed. Like Saturday and Sunday, it rained the most crazy amount I've ever seen it rain in New York. I was thrilled that Monday it cleared up for the game. But I think I get the money aspect, but I think for families, you can go take your kids to a night game. You have a better chance of getting them home, getting them up for school the next day. Like, I think it's smart. We're trying to live in a more efficient era. That half an hour was money. I was not bored with it. When it was over, I was like, oh, it's great. I'm not even like antsy to get out of here right now. It's fantastic. We sat for a little bit, took some more photos. Great game. Yankee Stadium is beautiful. A lot of fans at Yankee Stadium. I took a lot of photos after the game with people. Big groups of cops there, on their night off, all yelling over the thing. So I'm like, you know what? I'll go up in the other sections. I'll take photos with people for a while.
Nice.
It'll kill the time that we've got to wait, to get out and get an Uber. So all that. But yeah, fit in a baseball game this week. Big things over here. Big things.
That's badass. I forget, what was that the game when Holmes got beat up at the end of the game? Is that what you were saying? And so there's a fantasy spin here. Michael King is a must add in fantasy baseball right now because Holmes has been garbage this year. King's been awesome. And King just got a save the other night in the first op after that. I think it was back-to-back blown saves by Holmes. So I've dumped Holmes off of all my teams, and I've gone out and got Michael King, or I picked up Pierce Johnson, the Colorado closer. I think a lot of us thought Bard was going to be the guy coming back. He ain't the guy. Pierce Johnson's the guy.
How are you doing in your 832 fantasy baseball teams, Rick Kamla?
I'm doing mediocre in Matt Deutsch's rotisserie league right now, but that's
How's Matt Deutsch doing?
Let me go to the standings here, LA. So I can give you that.
Bettor Boss, you're up against it right now. We're fighting. By the way, Bettor Boss, if he gets jury duty, he can set lineups all day because he has nothing else to do.
There you go.
He likes jury duty, but he's a busy man, so I can understand that maybe his teams would falter.
So anyway, I have taken a brief and probably temporary lead over Bettor Boss. We are right there, neck and neck in the standings here. I'm in 6th. He's in 7th. But we're very jumbled up with a bunch of other teams. And there's 11 teams in this league, LA. It's extremely deep. And
why an odd number? Why 11?
It's just how it worked out. You'd have to ask Matt Deutsch about that. But I don't like LA, like 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, I was in 2nd place. And then I literally went all the way down to like 10th place. It's like, what is happening here? I lost Will Smith. I lost Michael Harris. I lost Tristan McKenzie. So I've taken some major hits here. My hitters are back. I got to get McKenzie back as well. So I ain't out of this thing yet, but I'm kind of stuck in the middle right now. In my Yahoo leagues, I'm in 8 of them, LA, 5 dynasty, 3 public leagues, and doing very, very well across the board. I can go in and give you it's first here, second here, first here, third here. You know how that goes. But against the Sharks over here at Bettor Sports Network in that baseball league, it's been a slow start for me, but I have big plans here, LA.
All right. I trusted you. And Rick Kamla, I trust. Byron says, my Pirates. Yes. Pirates are all the talk right now with their 20-10 season right now. This is the best showing for the Pirates in quite some time. How many Pirates players do you have on your fantasy baseball teams?
So a lot. And,
yeah?
And the reason is, LA, I'm not trying to like sound, like smart or like pontificating here, but I watch a lot of baseball.
Yeah.
And so I've got the Pirates on, and this is a team with spark, okay? And we can go into pitching and hitting and all the tangible stuff. But a team like that, not like the Mets or the Braves or the Padres or a team that was supposed to be good, but a team that wasn't supposed to be good. Let me plug into this team a little bit and see what's going on. Kind of like Baltimore last year, right?
And Baltimore is still playing well this year with a 20-9 record, but I'm most surprised by the Tampa Bay Rays still holding on to only 6 losses so far on the season. They went on that streak of winning. I do know this when the season started. Lost a couple of games, but still best record in MLB. Am I right? Yeah, best record in MLB.
I'll take your word for it.
24-6.
13-0 to start the season, obviously. Just going back to Pittsburgh here real quick. And so, I just like the vibe, okay? And they win, and they win, and they win. And here's the other thing, LA. They're in a really lousy division. The Cardinals aren't that good this year. The Brew Crew are, I always sleep on them. They're kind of better than I thought. But you've got also the Cubs and the Reds. Okay, so you're going to see a lot of bad pitching. You're going to see a lot of batting practice. I've got Sawinski on a bunch of my teams. I've got, I believe his name is Bay, the base-stealing second baseman on a lot of my teams. Andrew McCutchen I've been messing with. He hit a home run again tonight. But here's the real critical thing, LA. Just this week, I've been able to pick up, and this is in dynasty leagues, this is in redraft public leagues on Yahoo, been able to pick up Mitch Keller, who's pitching tonight, and Vince Velasquez. Both of these guys are destroying it this year. So everybody, go check your waiver wire for Keller or Velasquez. And if they're out there, pick them up because their numbers are nails. And it's just, if they start to suck, then you drop them. But LA, this Pittsburgh thing looks like it might be kind of sort of like wild card real.
Makes me pretty excited. I might have to go to PNC Park this year. It's still to this day my favorite ballpark in the U.S.
I love the background with the yellow paint on the bridge and all that. I think it's really cool.
Skyline, that just walking over from the city, parking across the bridge and walking over. People in Pittsburgh are incredibly nice too, and they're great sports people. It's a great sports city. So great for their fans who have been waiting for quite some time. And did I hear this correct? Is McCutchen a Pirate again?
Yes. Isn't that cool that he's gone here and there and all over the place? And now, like the original Pirate MVP with this team, now he's back and suddenly they're good again, right? And he's been good for them. Not great, but good. He's
a fan favorite. He's to me, my comp in NFL would be Larry Fitzgerald.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Just great with the fans. You never hear of his private life at all. He's, does his own thing, but just really plays hard, loves baseball, and people love him. So, and that's how it always was as well with Fitzgerald.
Totally. It's a great comp. It's a great analogy. McCutchen, I believe, has 5 steals on the year, like
that's
6
nice.
homers.
McCutchen was great for steals 2015, 2016.
And he's about as old as me now and still stealing bases here with the widened base and all the new rules. But the point is, he's still pretty good.
Yeah.
He's still a pretty good player. He's a waiver wire guy. Like if one of you use on your team, you're just like, this guy sucks, I got to get somebody new. Take a look at McCutchen out there, people. Take a look at McCutchen. He's been pretty good this year.
I would do it as well. Do you have Connor Joe on your squad?
Yes.
Byron wants to know.
I've got Connor Joe on some of my teams as well. Yes.
By the way, I would like to thank Bettor Boss for always teaching me new things, right? I always feel smarter, always makes me brighter, especially in the fantasy sports space. I just learned that you don't need an even and out of teams in a roto league.
Yeah, I mean, it is strange though, right? You're in a fantasy
league. But you don't need it. You don't need it.
In a roto, you don't need it, but
you don't need it.
Yeah, but I like where your head was at with that, LA. It's weird. It's counterintuitive. Wait, it's an odd number. It's a fantasy league.
It just seems, in any sort of team sport, like you're not going to play basketball with a lesser number.
No,
you're not going to do any of those things. So there's that. But we're going to touch on a little bit more MLB through this show. Rick, we got this game that is tipping off. So are you now going to change your television from MLB to NBA?
That is correct.
Okay. So you'll be able to give us our play-by-play that we might be missing while I am on the ESPN website looking at the scoring. Sometimes I get a little refreshed on a score before you. So we'll see what gets it first. We'll take a quick break. In the second hour, we're going to be joined by Garret Price, who's the host of Dynasty Nerds. You can follow at Dynasty Price. We'll get back to a little NFL talk at the top of this hour, Rick, because I want to hear what you thought about the Philadelphia Eagles just making themselves that much better than that the players that have to face them are afraid, and players that sat there till day 2. Imagine you go to the draft and you only pack one suit because you're so confident. And then guess what? You sit there in that one suit. Now, so many questions. Does that suit become bad luck? Is it like a suit you only get to wear to funerals forever? Are you getting rid of the suit? Do you trust the suit? How superstitious are you? The drip on these players when they come up the first night, the necklaces, the suits, like it is the greatest sports fashion show of the year, if you ask me.
I thought Tyree Wilson, the edge rusher that went to the Raiders, wearing the dope jacket, no shirt underneath with the chain, and he's a defensive player, sacking the quarterback, tough guy. It just fit perfectly. And by the way, a great pick for the Raiders.
Great pick for the Raiders. We'll cover some NFL draft. We'll be talking to you in the chat. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern.
The word genius is there. Bob Glover, it describes him. Bob, so when's the last time that Twitter defeated you? Because I've been defeated by Twitter today.
I'll tell you how Twitter defeated me one time. I had the mistaken impression that the year that Troy Polamalu won the Defensive Player of the Year, it looked like it was going to go to Clay Matthews Jr., and I tweeted it. And there was a guy on the media bus. He was like, oh, yeah, he's got it, a guy I trust. I won't tell you who it was, but his initials are Mike Garafolo. So I went with it, got a DM from Rich Eisen, NFL Network. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, man. Oh, I just got this wave. Because, like, accuracy to me is really important.
Yeah.
So I'm literally on the media bus. We're just getting back from media day. We are slipping and sliding in Dallas. It's snowing. I get off the bus. I open my laptop. I'm hunched over. And I just, like, literally people are passing me. Bob, what's wrong? And it was Polamalu. And Adam Schefter had retweeted me. Trey Wingo had retweeted me. I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
So when it's Polamalu, then how do you handle that? Like, what was the subsequent tweet
I think
afterwards?
I said, got some bad Twitter info. I didn't put Garafolo's name on there. I had to
10 years later, you can out him. I like that. Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't mind that. He knows the stories. So.
Yeah.
He actually said to me, hey, Bob, I think you might have jumped the gun on that. I was like, oh, crap. There we go.
Campus to Canton on the Bettor Sports Network.
Would Dion bench Shedeur?
I don't think he would.
Like, how bad would it have to be? Because we've seen horrendous quarterback play from this Colorado team for the last, 5 years? JT Shroud, Brandon Lewis, just terrible quarterback play. Like, they were 131st, which is dead last in pass EPA per play. Obviously, it will be better, but how bad does it have to be for him to bench his own son? Like, I'm not sure he will ever either, like, especially with the attitude that he came in with.
If they don't get Rashada, who do they bench him for this year anyway? I don't know that there's another answer on that roster that you go to. They don't really have a guy behind him, so I don't even know if we would know the answer to that until the next year, assuming that, he doesn't declare for the draft, he returns, they bring somebody else that's competent and behind him.
If they're going to do this the Lincoln Riley way, next year would be the class to bring somebody in. Shedeur Sanders is going to be a third-year player, so he's going to play 2023. I don't think he's declaring for the 2024 NFL draft, so he's going to play in 2024 and then declare for the 2025 NFL draft. And let's remember this, he hasn't had a full recruiting cycle at Colorado. He will have that next recruiting cycle, so maybe he could get one of these class of 2024 quarterbacks there to come to Colorado.
However you're invested in sports, from betting to fantasy, collectibles, and more, join our community on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back right here, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. And for those of you following along on social media, I just tweeted a 2023 NFL Draft final quick snap grades for all 32 teams. Before we get to this, I want to ask you, Rick, if you have one team that you think, as we like to say, won the draft. You know, when you're doing a fantasy football draft and somebody's like, oh, I won the draft. I'm like, yeah, by week 3, your team's going to be toast. But no injuries, nothing like that. Don't think about it. What team do you think won the draft?
The Philadelphia Eagles won this draft, LA.
Sure.
The Philadelphia Eagles. Also in the running there, I thought the Lions had an unbelievable draft. And I thought also the Texans had a great draft.
The Texans had a baller draft. The
Yes, they
Texans
did.
did all the right things. And when they made that first move to switch a pick, we thought they were making bad decision after bad decision. Like, oh no. And then they really recovered well with that second pick in the first round.
Well, look, I wouldn't have done that, but they did it. Okay. You basically gave up a future first round pick and a borderline first round pick to move up 9 spots. Or wait a minute, 6 spots. Wait a minute, 9 spots. I would not have done that. I wouldn't have. I would have waited where they were. I would have taken Lucas Van Ness. I would have taken Nolan Smith. But I'm squibbling over stuff, right? Who cares? They got 2 monsters at the top of the draft. They're trying to be good. They're aggressive and going for it. But Philadelphia, LA, they get Jalen Carter at number 9. Okay. Many people thought Jalen Carter was the top player in this draft. I was not one of them, but he was very, very high. Way higher than 9. Okay. That's like stealing getting him at 9. He's like a Warren Sapp. He could be a historic defensive tackle. Nolan Smith at 31. I mocked Nolan Smith to Philadelphia at 10. Okay. And they traded up to 9 to get Carter. They get Tyler Steen, an OT out of Alabama. He'll probably take over for Lane Johnson next year if he retires, but it's depth. Sidney Brown, a safety out of Illinois, drafted at the top of the 3rd round as well. Going to challenge with Blankenship to be the starting safety on this team. And then they steal Keely Ringo, a guy that had first-round grades on him throughout a lot of the pre-draft process, in the 4th round. Howie Roseman has done it again, LA.
Yeah, it was really surprising. I mean, the moves. And, we saw a lot of defensive players going early. Surprised to see those valuable tight ends. It was a rich tight end draft, which is what was being talked about. We thought Dalton Kincaid was going to go a bit sooner. But how do you feel about the Falcons getting that one Bijan Robinson?
I'm
Do you
really
feel bad for Bijan because he could have gone to a better team and had a bigger impact?
No, I mean, in terms of impact, he went to just the right team. They're going to ask him to do everything. They're going to ask him to sell tickets, make popcorn, mop the floors. Somebody in the organization needs some legal advice. Okay, so get boned up on being an attorney here, bro. They're going to ask him to do everything. But here's the problem with taking Bijan Robinson, LA. You have once again not addressed your wide receiver room, which is awful. Okay, you have Drake London, of course. And literally right now, LA, starting for the Atlanta Falcons at wide receiver, will be Scotty Miller and Matt Collins. Okay, so if you want to just like dip out for a second and go vomit in your bathroom, now is your opportunity. Matt Collins and Scotty Miller? Are you kidding me? So I understand you got an absolute beast, but you had Tyler Algier and Cordero Patterson. Okay, they were a really good rushing combo last year.
Yep.
You've got a good offensive line. You've made a million moves to upgrade your defense. How about we address the wide receiver position? They didn't. They ignored it, LA. So, okay, you take Bijan with the 1st overall pick. How about you come back in round 2 and bang a wide receiver? No, they bang a guard, Matthew Bergeron. He may start for them, so there's that. But again, you're still passing. You take a D end and then a corner and then a safety and then a guard. No wide receivers. Okay, that's a problem. So that's why I'm all conflicted on them taking Bijan. It's the right guy, the wrong team.
I get it. The right guy, the wrong team. That's what I was thinking that for Bijan. Bryce Young, all the conversation that he wasn't going to go with the first pick, goes with the first pick, goes to a home that we expected him to go to with that pick. Carolina gets to be mentored by Andy Dalton, 2nd round CJ Stroud, but Will Levis, the one that turned the world upside down, the one that only brought 1 suit, the one that was only there for 1 day, doesn't go to round 2. Do you think the conspiracy with Reddit had anything to do with him dropping, or do you think it was a skill set?
It was a skill set. The Reddit thing was just, it was never real. Okay. And I heard, I don't know this, but I went on VSiN and I did a pop with them and they were telling me that the Reddit thing actually changed the lines in Las Vegas. And I'm like,
oh my God. Do you know how much it changed the lines?
What are we doing here? Like who gives a damn what you see a reader here on Reddit?
Because that's how the internet works. It went viral instantaneously and the odds went from 400 to 4,000 to 400 to 4,000. Like it wasn't simple odds. They had to pull the odds down completely over the concern of this just being, but it's all, this is like AI generated stuff that once that information is gathered from the internet, it becomes part of the conversation that somebody in his camp is saying he's going with the first pick. It gets back to the books and the odds changed. And that's where I thought, now the Reddit page was then taken down, the post was taken down, but by then it had caused so much chaos and confusion that it was like, oh, this is an inside conversation. So that's why the lines are moving and people were putting money down like crazy.
Well, they're idiots. Okay. I mean, it wasn't going to happen. It never was going to happen. And
are you telling us in this room right here that everything you see on the internet is not real?
What I'm saying is you can't believe everything you read on the internet.
No.
And you know that.
A lot of stuff on the, and look, you have regular people creating a data machine with their own thoughts. It's the world's stream of consciousness, right? So it's crazy to me that this got all the way back to the books and threw things upside down over a Reddit post.
Yes. Okay. That is what I'm tripping on.
Crazy.
I understand a Reddit post and people on Twitter going nuts with it and extrapolating and doing all their memes and GIFs and all of that. I get it. The world's having fun with this stupid ass, nonsensical, completely false report from Reddit. The fact that odds actually changed for this, Vegas has to do better. You got to do better than this, man. You got to vet it harder than you just did. LA, he didn't get taken in the whole first round. This isn't something that was debatable or that was like toggling between maybe happening. No, it was never going to happen. I've screamed it throughout this whole process that Will Levis is one of the most overrated prospects I've ever seen. And Mel Kiper, LA. He has pie on his face. He has egg on his face. He has other stuff on his face. Okay. He had Levis high. Top 5 pick, best quarterback on the board. I mean, stop it, dude. Stop it. What was he seeing, LA? What was he seeing?
Well,
nobody else saw what he was seeing.
It also could be that the need wasn't there, right? The need wasn't there in that draft. We got the Lamar Jackson deal done. We got the Aaron Rodgers deal done. There wasn't that need, whereas teams are getting smarter and like, man, these we need these guys on our line. Now, I think Levis fell to the perfect spot. Tennessee Titans. I think this is a good home for him. I think it's a good market. It's also very close to where he's from in Kentucky. I think it's a great fit. I think they would have taken him earlier, but they realized nobody else was going to, and that he was going to be there in the second round.
So you talk about need, okay? And I mean, you're right, the way it played out. But throughout the pre-draft process, I can just tell you what I read in reports that I read. Okay. I read that Seattle might take a quarterback. They didn't. I read that the Raiders may take a quarterback. They didn't. I read the Falcons may take a quarterback. They didn't. I read that the Titans may take a quarterback, and they did, as we saw. I read the Lions may take a quarterback. They got Hooker in round 3, but I'm talking first round. I read that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could take a quarterback in the first round. They did not. And then that's about it, because the better teams all have their QBs. That's several teams right there that could have banged Will Levis if he were actually a premium prospect. But he's not a premium prospect. He's an overrated prospect, and he's a bench player, and he is now going to have high expectations on him in Tennessee, and he is going to fail amid those expectations. And I'm going to tell you all that I told you so. I mean, that's just, I don't know how else to say it, LA. This whole thing with Will Levis has driven me crazy for the last few months. And it was so fun to watch him fall out of the first round. You want me to take a bow? I'll go ahead and take a bow.
Take a bow, my friend. Take a bow. So we know that we both agree that Philadelphia won the draft. Our friend Byron in the room believes that Pittsburgh won the draft. So how do you feel the Steelers? Okay, let's talk about it.
Pardon me, LA. I didn't mean to
to
cut you off like that. Pittsburgh is one of my winners from this draft, LA. Love what they did. Oh, LA, I want to, pardon me. I want to take you into some draft night chicanery that involves the Jets coming out on the losing side. The Jets needed an offensive tackle in the first round of this draft. They ended up taking Will McDonald at number 15. I would have taken Nolan Smith, but that's neither here nor there. They needed an OT. Pittsburgh traded up to 14, one spot in front of the Jets, and banged the last premium OT, Broderick Jones out of Georgia. Awesome move by Pittsburgh. And they completely, there used to be an S word that we use for this in draft purposes, but with gun violence, I don't want to use it anymore. But they zapped them is my new word for it, right? the word that rhymes with ripe. I just don't like saying that word anymore. But they zapped him. They got up in front of him, took the guy the Jets were going to take. So I thought that was dope. We had one of the people in our chat here asked me about the Steelers at number 32. I love their pick at 32. They needed a corner. They got Joey Porter Jr., who was a first-round talent, fell to the second round. Keanu Benton, the DT they got in the second round, will start for them. And they stole my guy, Darnell Washington, who I had a first-round grade on, and he slipped to the third round, and they got him to back up Freiermuth. I love the Steelers draft.
So that's good for Tomlin, right? That's a good look, a good team to build and bring out of, this was the first season that it was very disappointing. He's been such a consistent coach. He's got a lot of young players there. So that's different. My Dallas Cowboys. How do you feel about us?
Your Cowboys, LA, pardon me one second.
Because all I wanted for us to make a move that would make me think that we're dumping Ronald Jones. I do not want to start the season with Ronald Jones on my team, okay? Ronald Jones, my friend, you have enough Super Bowl rings that you barely earned. You're now coming into Jerry's world to play in the big market. And I just don't think you got it. And if you had it, I think you would have showed it to me when I drafted you 3 years ago. And then I banged it again 2 years ago. Then last year I was like, you know what? F you, Ronald Jones. We're not doing this. Now here you are, a Dallas Cowboy. Will this be a home that brings out the best in Ronald Jones? Or will he not make the roster? We do not know 100% answers yet on Tony Pollard's recovery from his surgery. We do not have another look, The Zeke conversation has completely died down. There's nobody talking about the fact that Zeke could go back and get a different deal. There's no other teams out there talking about Zeke. Zeke has not been part of the conversation since his days with the Dallas Cowboys ended. I'm shocked. I understand, but if Ronald Jones is getting put on a team, why isn't Zeke getting put on a team? He's still better than Ronald Jones.
He is. There's no question about that. Again, we need one of the reporters to find out about the money. Did Dallas just not want to do business with Zeke Elliott and they cut him and they fired him like the Memphis Grizzlies just did with Dylan Brooks?
No, there was a renegotiation option that I think he opted out of.
Okay, well then why did you do that? If they had an option for you to stay, why didn't you stay? Because obviously the phone hasn't been ringing.
He's Zeke. But, everyone thinks that it's, you quit the job and you think the phone's going to be ringing. And when it doesn't, then you have that moment, that sliding doors theory where if I handled that Thursday meeting differently, I would be on my way to camp in Thousand Oaks shortly. You know what I mean? I'd be headed out there. And now I don't know what I'm going to do. And it becomes a time where, sure, we're going to start to hear some injuries. I do think Zeke will be playing this season. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't think it'll be with the Cowboys. But I do think he'll be playing. We get into the first month of camp and there's going to be injuries. There's going to be needs to be met. But there were quite a few good running backs in this draft that are young. We know the teams are now looking at younger running backs and saying, hey, I can get 3 or 4 years out of him on a rookie deal. I don't have to pay him. He's either going to be great after that or he's not. We're going to go for somebody else.
So let me, you're absolutely right with that. Let me run through what I would have done if I were the Dallas Cowboys. And
you mean
tell
if you were Jerry?
Yes. And if I were Jerry, I would be Jerry. Not with some of the bad decisions he's made, but with
I'd own that yacht that he lived on during COVID. I'd own that for sure.
Yeah. I'm the owner. I'm the GM. I'm the president.
I own a yacht that's bigger than.
I own a yacht that's bigger than,
has a helipad.
Yes. All that. I mean, my point is I'm not hiring a GM. I'm the GM. Okay. That's how I would operate if I were an owner. I don't need to pay some GM $2.5 million a year to make bad draft picks. There's bad draft picks around here. It's going to be on my damn watch. But what I would have done, LA, the Dallas Cowboys needed to switch this whole thing up. Mazi Smith was a reach. Okay. Very few people had first round grades on him. You could have gotten him in round 2, probably. I don't like the pick. And it's an infrastructure move. It wasn't like a hot need for them, like tight end. Okay. I'm banging Michael Mayer late first round. If I'm Jerry Jones. And then in
Dalton
round 2,
Kincaid as well.
But I'm a Michael Mayer guy. I think he's better than Dalton Kincaid. So that's who I would have taken. And if memory serves, Kincaid was off the board when Dallas went. Let me verify that, LA. I don't even think he was on the board. He was not. He was taking the pick before Dallas. So, but I was a Michael Mayer guy anyway. No problem. You want Kincaid? I'll take Mayer. And then in round 2, I'm not taking Schoonmaker, who's a huge maybe. I'm not crazy about him. A lot of people are. Second round grade on Schoonmaker. What did you guys see that I didn't see? Michigan tight ends don't translate to the NFL. Just doesn't happen. Can you name me one that has? And so I wouldn't have done that. I would have taken a running back there. I would have taken a Tank Bigsby, a Devon A-Chain, somebody like that, and gone that way. So I just didn't like Dallas's draft. They're one of my losers in this draft, LA.
Interesting. That is very interesting. We have something that you sent over earlier today by text. It was you that sent that clip from McAfee's show with Aaron Rodgers speaking yesterday, right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's a real plot twist that you would think. So, even when I'm busy during the day, I will lay in bed with my iPad and watch the show on YouTube. And I'll just fast forward through those little commercials. Ends up being a tight 2 minutes and 30 seconds instead of the full 3 hours. But it was also Pat McAfee's birthday yesterday, a fellow Tauran. He's a Taurus as well, which makes me super happy. But we have that clip. I thought it would be a good time for our producer, Heavy T on air, to throw that out there because I think Garrett Wilson's shares are going to be really expensive this season.
Fun to be here and be a part of it. Obviously, Garrett, he's a talented guy, man. It's threw him a pass today and just kind of turned and was like, wow. That was just his ability to kind of get in and out of his breaks. There's another 17 I played with for a long time who does it better than anybody. And but the explosiveness in and out of the breaks to 17 here is pretty similar.
Hell yeah.
That's
like
a
that.
good comp. How would you feel right now if you were Garrett Wilson? You got that comp from your new quarterback.
Garrett Wilson's about to get paid. Garrett Wilson's about to spike to a 90 grab, 1,200 yard, 10 touchdown season. I mean, and these are really conservative estimates right here, LA. We know Devontae Adams' numbers, 120 grabs, 1,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, like insane stuff. Wilson's entering year 2. You know that I loved him at Ohio State. Loved it when the Jets drafted him. Couldn't stand it when Zach Wilson. It was like Garrett Wilson was some kind of wide receiver allergy to him. Never threw him the ball ever. Flacco did. Zach Wilson never got that memo. Look, Aaron Rodgers has weapons, man. Mecole Hardman for the deep ball, a la Marquez Valdes-Scantling, right?
Yep.
Hitting you with that, oh my God, the deep ball, and it's Hardman for a 70-yard touchdown. Lazard's going to do all the grunt work and blocking, and he'll catch balls, and he'll be fantasy relevant, but not, I don't think, to a huge degree. Garrett Wilson's the guy, LA, who's going to spike and become a top 10 wide receiver in this game. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
The reason I brought this up is because we're talking about the draft, and now we know that the deal is done. We know that the pieces are all landing. Do you think the Jets gave up too much for this move?
I do. I'd have to go back and refresh my memory on that. Green Bay won this trade. And it was an extra first round pick. I'd have to go back and look at the picture of it, but it was more value than I thought the Jets were going to have to give to get Aaron Rodgers based on his age, based on the fact they don't know if he's playing beyond this year. But it just got to the point, LA, where they had to make a deal. And Green Bay was like, arms crossed, F it. We don't have to make this move. We don't want this guy here. You have to make this move more than we have to make this move. And so the Jets came. LA, I'm not mad at it. They gave up more than I thought they would have. Did they give up too much? Well, that depends on the results that we see, right?
Of course.
But I thought that Green Bay won that trade. I did. They got more value back than I thought they were going to get.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying that. And of course, the proof is in the pudding, right? We don't know yet because we haven't seen the season. But from what we're seeing, I think jersey sales are going to be off the charts. I think the energy.
Will you buy one? Will you have one?
I'm not really a jersey person anymore. I have a couple hanging in my closet. I have quite a few that I've had to wear because I placed bets on my Dallas Cowboys and then had to wear the opposing team's
Take us
jersey.
through your jersey collection. Tell me you have a Pat McAfee like the old punter.
No, you know what? If I was going to get a jersey, that's
one.
exactly what I would get. I have a Zach Ertz. I have a Larry Fitzgerald. Of course, I have a Zeke. Of course, I have Irvin, Dez. Saquon.
Hold on. Do you have Romo? Is there a Romo in there?
I do have a Romo, a girls fit Romo. It's not like the real jersey, but a girls fit Romo. I have a bunch
Is it like
of
the pink one? Is it the
No,
the
I would never do
Supergirl
that.
one? Yeah,
Look,
you want that one?
I think it's fraud when everything is not the authentic colors.
Yes.
Nothing irks me more. Like, look, I get it for military. I like the camouflage. I get that. Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Okay, great. You're going to put some pink on things. Great. But when I see people walking around in ball caps that have no colors related to, like right now, I can go out and buy an all black New York Mets hat. Yeah, it looks sick, right? It's all black on black, right? It's sick. But I'm like, the Mets never wear all black. Why should people be selling? This is trash. Why are we doing this? But you're seeing all the stores in New York City push the Jets merch to the windows again.
Oh,
where, you're seeing them dig up the stuff and be like, okay, we're going to sell some Christmas ornaments, some mugs, some blankets, some scarves, some umbrellas. It's going to be Jets, everything. People are going to buy it. It's an exciting time for New York fans.
It's an exciting time for all of us. Watching him courtside at Knicks games, and just like, wow, Aaron Rodgers is in the Big Apple. It's like, it's real, right? He's at Knicks games and getting cutaways. And I'm really intrigued, LA. I'm really intrigued. They are on the playoff bubble right now. That's the best I got right now in this moment. I haven't firmed up my predictions and who's going to win the Super Bowl and all that, but they're very much on the playoff bubble.
So our boss, Bettor Boss, says it's almost impossible for me to project Rodgers to play a full season. So that makes me curious. So you are going to, Aaron Rodgers here, I want to look at his games played. So he did play a full season last season. Am I correct?
I'm actually going to it right now. I don't, pardon me.
I'm going to it right now.
Okay. I mean, I don't really worry about him making it through this season. I don't. That's not a hang up that I have. Anybody could get hurt at any time. I'm not really looking at Rodgers as a heightened injury risk unless you have other ideas looking at the back of his football.
No, that's the Bettor Boss said it. So I'm looking it up because I don't look at him that way either. Oh man, reload. Always when you're here, it happens. Okay. So he's played 17, 16, 16, 16, 16, 16. 2017, he only played 7 games. The 3 years between that, 16, 15, and 14, he played 16. 2013, he played 9, 12, 16, 2011, 15, 2010, 15. I mean, that's a lot of games. That's pretty stacked, solid for me. I'm not worried about him not playing games. Injuries can happen. There's no doubt, but I'm not worried. That's the least of my concerns with Aaron Rodgers is not playing games.
Me too. He's had 2 injury hit seasons. I get that he's 39. I get that. Totally get that. If he takes the wrong hit at the wrong time, anything can happen. But we've seen Kyler Murray, a young guy, blow tires. We've seen Lamar Jackson, a young, obviously superhero, blow tires and miss chunks. So I'm not my worry, and I really don't have any worries anymore, LA, because you've already assuaged, I believe that's the word, my worries. My worries were, LA. Is he going to come into the season in shape? Because last season he did not, and he was slow and immobile and got sacked a lot, and it just was bad because I don't think he was
in shape right now.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't have a worry about Rodgers. And then you mentioned the Spike Coffee Store from Curb Your Enthusiasm, and now this is a spite season for Aaron Rodgers, and I am buying it.
Well, we are right here up against it. We got Garret Price joining us at 8:30. Celtics are leading the Sixers right now. What just got tied up as I said that. So it's 18-18 right now with 2 minutes and 38 seconds left in the first quarter. Fantasy Alarm, get all pro access to Fantasy Alarm and unlock all features, including all fantasy football and betting content, plus the award-winning DFS playbook covering 10 different sports. For a limited time, get all of this 50% off your first 6 months with promo code ALARM50. That's ALARM50 at fantasyalarm.com. So get started with a free trial today. That's promo code ALARM50 at fantasyalarm.com. We get back. We're going to be talking to the host of Dynasty Nerds, so I'm pretty sure we're talking Dynasty football. Am I right, Rick?
Let's talk some dynasty football. Who goes first? Who goes second? Running backs
send
versus
me
wide
over that
receivers.
list you offered me earlier. Send it over by email when we're on this break so I have your reference points, since I feel they're all that matters when it comes to the long-term relationships that I don't get myself into. Dynasty Sports. Everybody stay tuned. We'll be right back. You're listening to Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
Calvin Ridley yesterday, he applied for reinstatement from the National Football League.
Ridley, Kirk, Zay Jones, Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence. That is crazy potent on offense.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I mean, Ridley's great.
I think Trevor Lawrence is a guy I want in fantasy this year.
I think you're probably right. I think they're just going to get better and better. First off, Peterson's a wonderful offensive mind, a great head coach, and we've seen that and saw that this year as Jacksonville made it to the postseason. And Trevor Lawrence, anybody that questioned whether or not he could play in the National Football League or just how good he was going to be in the NFL, those questions were answered this past season as in the second half of the year. Statistically speaking, he was a top 3 quarterback in the NFL. That's how good Trevor Lawrence is. You throw Calvin Ridley into the mix, he's going to be great. Yeah, I think Lawrence is a guy you want. I think Ridley's a guy you want. Clearly, Travis Etienne is going to be one of those early, first-round selections as well, being the dual-threat running back that he is, not only running, but also catching the ball out of the backfield, Keith, and the ability to take something small and take it to the house. Take a 5-yard dump pass, make a guy miss in the open field, and he's gone. I mean, you saw that with Travis Etienne this past season for Jacksonville. Yeah, sky's the limit. I mean, I think you're going to go from a team in the year span where you wanted no part of the Jacksonville Jaguars when you're looking at fantasy football to where you want as many Jaguars as you possibly can, because they're going to be really, really productive. And let's see if they get their tight end back as well, who had
Evan Ingram was great.
And Evan Ingram, who was great this past season.
Yeah. I mean, if they keep that whole core together, their offense is going to be one of the best in football. Like, I legitimately think that they could be one of the best offenses in football.
Zay Jones, Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, then you throw
Ridley,
Travis Etienne, Trevor Lawrence, a good offensive line, and you've got Doug Peterson being creative calling.
Right?
And you look at that division. The Colts are a mess.
Yep.
Titans
look like they're on the downslide.
Titans are on the downslide, right? That window is clearly closed. And then you got the Houston Texans.
Years away from relevancy.
Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville could win 11 games next year.
Moose and Keith. Weekdays at 10 a.m. Eastern on Bettor Sports Network.
And we are back right here, Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. And we are joined by Garret Price, the host of Dynasty Nerds at Dynasty Price. You can follow on Twitter. How are you, Garret? Great to see you.
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Good.
So I have a little secret that I must share with you. Are you ready for this?
All right.
I'm really afraid of long-term relationships, and that's what makes me very afraid of dynasty sports.
Sure.
You get it, right? Do you hear this from people?
I have heard this, and I understand it.
Is there counseling I can go through? Can someone walk me through this and fix this with me? Do I need to see a dynasty sports fantasy therapist?
I don't know that they exist yet, but they probably should. I think this is a new business venture that probably needs to be invented, because there are a lot of people that struggle with it. I mean, it's if you're starting a league and you're in a league with people, that you're going to be in it for the long haul. It's not just, we're going to redraft next year, and if I like you guys, I'll stay in it, and if I don't, I'm bouncing. It's you're with these people for a while. So I can understand the stress over that commitment.
Listen, I'm not worried about the people in the league. I'm worried about the players that I'm sick of. That I just want to start fresh. You know what I mean? It's like getting your spring wardrobe and getting rid of your winter wardrobe. You're starting fresh. I just want to start fresh. But
here's what helps. Here's what helps in Dynasty, because I think there are people that get in this mode. Basically, what they'll do is they'll say they're gonna tank, more or less. Like we see it in the NBA, we see it in the NFL.
I've heard this happen.
And they trade a lot of their older assets They trade them all for a bunch of draft picks, and then they just have a blast at the draft, drafting like 8 of the first 15 picks in the draft and live it up.
So Garrett, I have a different take on tanking in dynasty leagues.
Oh,
and
boy. Here we go.
I do believe in tanking in dynasty leagues. Okay. Garrett, nice to meet you, by the way. Great to have you on the show. I'm in a 30-team NBA dynasty league. Okay.
Ooh.
30 teams. And last
Can we
year,
stop for a second? 30 teams. That
30
might be
teams.
another thing this therapist can do is work on people that are in leagues that are too large.
So it's a 30-team dynasty league. So you can imagine, Garrett, in LA, there's nothing on waivers ever. Okay.
Right.
Literally nothing ever.
Never.
We have 1,000 FOB. I don't even think I used it. So I tanked. And now I'm getting Victor Wembanyama. Okay.
There
and
you go.
so what I did, I didn't play my guys. I literally did not play my guys. I had Ja Morant, I had Chris Middleton, I had Zach LaVine, I had Marcus Smart, I had Steven Adams, I had another good player. Like next year, my team is going to be rock star when I get Victor Wembanyama going with this group, okay? So I totally believe in tanking in dynasty leagues. I don't believe in long-term tanking. I don't believe in not putting anybody in your lineup, okay? So
Right.
I had like Teo Maladon in my lineup. I picked up Carmelo Anthony. He was in my lineup all year. Like at least I had a dude.
Right.
By the way, for the people, he didn't play a game this year. It was kind of like a sarcastic thing. I got Melo in a tanking year here. But Garrett, gosh dang it, I'm going to get Victor Wembanyama, and I'm planning on going from 30th to 1st in this 30-team dynasty league. Do you believe in tanking in dynasty leagues?
Yeah, I'm totally open to tanking. Sometimes in the dynasty fantasy football leagues, we do put certain parameters often around tanking. Kind of like we've started to see the NBA do, where we saw the Mavs got penalized this year.
Yep.
Yeah, so we've kind of started putting some things in there just to make sure that teams are not just just mailing it in completely.
Like what? What are you doing?
So one of the things that we do is you have to start all active players. So they don't have to be good.
Right.
You have
That's
to start,
my thing. They don't have to be good, but you got to put a body in there, you
right.
know?
We'll have people that'll put like injured guys on there, guys on bye weeks and stuff like that. Can't do that. You'll lose draft picks if you do that. So that's one of the things. People have gone to next level to where they'll even do total points. So it doesn't matter who you had in your starting lineup. It's just the draft order is based on total points possible that you could have had in your starting lineup. And that's how they'll do like the bottom 6 seeds of the teams that don't make the playoffs. So, you can only do so much. So if you don't want to win, maybe trade away those good players as opposed to just sitting them on your bench. So there are still workarounds and different things like that, but there are more structure a lot of times in dynasty leagues now than there used to be.
We are joined by, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry about this for a second. Garret Price. I lost my train of thought because I'm watching Bettor Boss, who I know takes all young players. So that brings me to this. Who do you see going in this year's draft? 5 players that you think are going to be maybe overdrafted in this year's dynasty season, not looking for production now, but you are committed to the long-term relationship. And players like Will Levis, who we thought were going to go in the first round, drops to the second round. Same thing with dynasty drafts. So who do you see going that you might think has value or doesn't have value? You can give us both sides of it, Garrett.
All right. Well, one of the guys that I think I don't think they have the value that everyone else does, because I'm big in watching tape. So I played college football. So I love like sitting down and like just me and the screen and just getting into it. So I love watching tape and stuff like that. One of the players I walked away with less than impressed was Quentin Johnston, wide receiver from TCU. Now, everyone is on the Quentin Johnston band page just because, one, he is a big receiver in a class where we didn't have a lot of big receivers. So a lot of people like him, but then he got the Justin Herbert landing spot. And so everyone's excited about that. There were some real concerns with his ball skills, a lot of body catching, things like that. I'm not sure that he's as refined as a route runner as some of these other guys. So I'm worried that he might be a little bit overdrafted, and I'm worried that he might not put up the production that maybe some of the other guys drafted in the same range might be able to put up. One of the guys that I thought and this is like the layup of all layups, but Bijan Robinson is the guy that we all thought was the top guy coming in, running back out of Texas. And then he goes to the Atlanta Falcons and Arthur Smith, who used to be the head coach of the Tennessee Titans, and they're just going to run the crap out of the football. And so it's just a perfect fit for Bijan Robinson. So that's probably the guy that I think is the most overhyped and the one that's like rock solid, rock steady Bijan Robinson.
So good answers, man. Those are good answers. So Garrett, to me, the debate is not who is the, I guess, player one in dynasty drafts. It's Bijan Robinson. If you're in a dynasty league and somebody doesn't take Bijan Robinson, then just idiotic, moronic, whatever it is. It's the biggest no-brainer of all time. But number two to me is not a no-brainer. Number two to me is a debate between Jackson Smith and Jigba. I wish he would have gone to a team where he'd be a number two receiver instead of a number three, but it is what it is. Comprising a great passing game now with Geno and DK and Tyler, obviously LA's guy. But who do you have as number two behind Bijan? Do you have JSN or do you have Jahmyr Gibbs or do you maybe have somebody else, Garrett?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It really is between those two guys. And almost every dynasty, at least one QB, Superflex changes it up a little bit, but in one QB, it's those are the two guys that people are debating against. You have Gibbs on one hand, got awesome draft capital, top 12 there, to a team that, I mean, you saw the room. They were elated when they drafted him, so much so that they were willing to ship DeAndre Swift out of town. So, but he's a little bit smaller, 199 pounds. We haven't seen many of those guys taken in the first round. So, a little bit odd there. And you still have David Montgomery as well, who we saw Jamal Williams last year take a lot of goal line carries. So there's some concerns there. On the flip side, you have JSN. And like you mentioned, right away, the landing spot isn't as juicy as some of the other ones. But long-term, he's going to work great over the middle. Tyler Lockett's 31 years old. How much longer is he really going to be producing? So for me on this one, because I've had a lot of people ask, I think this is a situational pick here because I'm big on drafting best player available. But when they're this close and this, in lockstep, I have a really hard time with it. I think if you are a contending team that you think you can win the ship this year, I'm going with Gibbs. I think he has the best shot to produce year one, put up good numbers, especially in the receiving game out of the backfield. But if you're looking more long-term, a lot of times in dynasty leagues, those wide receivers have a longer shelf life. I think he'll produce later on as this team develops. So I'll take JSN if I'm not a contender.
We're joined by Garret Price right here, who you can follow at Dynasty Price. Okay, so the draft is in the books. Walk me through your life right now, Garrett. You're prepping for every seat. You start your dynasty redrafts, your rookie drafts. What is the next 2 months for you before we get into fantasy football redraft season?
Yeah, so right now is rookie draft heaven. I mean, basically over these next 2 weeks, almost I would venture to say 70 to 80% of rookie drafts are going to be done. Now, more of the casual or close friend ones, those guys usually they wait till July and August and things like that. But most of the ones that are the Twitter, the diehards, most of those are going on right now because you want to get them as close to the draft as you can. Because if you paid attention, you have an edge on the rest of your league. Whereas other guys are like coming in and, they haven't printed the magazine yet. I don't know who to take. So that's why you see a lot of that. So that's what's going on right now. Very busy time for that. And then you get a little bit of a lull there in like end of May through beginning of July is kind of, and for NFL in general, it's kind of the biggest lull of the year. That's where I get to like catch up on some shows and,
take a vacation,
vacations, that kind of stuff. Yeah. So it's a fun time of year in that sense. But even then, people are still doing startups. I mean, people are doing startups all the time because we love to draft. And so that's the funny thing is, we talk about the big commitment that a dynasty league is, but I've met very few people that are in like one dynasty league. If you're you're in like 10 or 12 or, a ridiculous amount of dynasty leagues, just because the fun of the draft is there.
I'm in 5 dynasty baseball leagues, and which causes a complete meltdown with the gray matter with with our buddy Lisa Ann over here. 5 dynasty leagues for baseball, and I
It
wish it was
causes
more.
an incredible meltdown. I'm also the person that loves the pitch clock, so I am just want to condense everything in life and make it short and sweet. But keep going, Rick.
So Garrett, let's talk running back dynasty rankings here just a little bit.
Yeah.
To me, Bijan 1, Gibbs 2. Okay, the whole world agrees on that. Very, very chalky. Number 3 is a debate. And the number 3 running back I had in this draft was Devon Achane. I had him above Charbonnet, and I had him above Bigsby. That was my top 5. With Chase Brown lingering in the background is a nice sleeper, right? He was awesome at the combine, awesome at Illinois, and I think he slept on, and I like him a lot. So to me, you've got Devon Achane with the 4-3, but he's tiny, and he's not going to be a huge touch guy, but very intriguing, especially with the McDaniel system. And you've got Chase Brown with the uncertainty about Joe Mixon. Sounds like he'll be there for this year, and then beyond, probably not. So maybe next year, Chase Brown's the guy. So how are you managing that? Who would you take if you were on the clock and you needed one of these running backs? Would you take Achane or Brown, or would you go with Bigsby, Charbonnet? Who would you go with?
So the top 2 guys for me, the first one, I did go with Achane. Achane is my running back 3 in the class. Really love that scheme fit because he ran the outside zone at Texas A&M. And one of the best parts about the outside zone is the guy that can put his foot in the ground and go. What better than to add a track star to that scheme there? And we see them running a lot of what San Francisco ran, and Mostert was incredibly successful in that when he could stay healthy, and that was always the biggest issue was health with him. So I think it's a hand in glove fit. It's one of the best fits that we saw in the draft was Devon Achane to Miami. But my number 4 guy is a little spicy because people are very, very worried about the reports that came out about his knee. But I'm comfortable with it. This is Tyjae Spears. He went in the 3rd round to the Tennessee Titans. Right now, Derrick Henry's 29 years old. He is on the last year of his deal, and there's rumors that he might even be traded. So with all that swirling around, you have a team that loves to run the football. I get the concerns about his knee. I do. But Tennessee had all of those same reports that we're hearing, and they still felt comfortable enough to take him in the 3rd round. I had him as my RB3 going into the process. I bump him back 1 spot here because of the injury stuff, but I still think he's one of the most slept-on running backs in this class.
We're talking to Garret Price right now at Dynasty Price, host of Dynasty Nerds. So the draft is in the books, and we had some moves before the draft. Lamar Jackson gets his deal. And the Aaron Rodgers deal is finally done, and he is now a full-fledged New Yorker. So before you came on, Garrett, we were talking about the fit, what the Jets gave up. How do you feel about this move? Rick thinks the Jets gave up too much. I live in New York City, so I'm like, to me, it's like how the stars align, right? I'm not a Jets fan, by the way, I'm a Cowboys fan, but the fact that he gets to come to this city when the Knicks are in the playoffs, there's hockey playoffs going on, like to introduce him to the city with such grandiose events, like unbelievable. And I think it's going to be an exciting season. I think all eyes are going to be on Aaron Rodgers. Randall Cobb makes the move up today. So now we got Randall Cobb in the mix. What do you think the Jets can do this season? We know last season they had a great defense. Adding all the pieces that Aaron Rodgers wanted, can they make it to the playoffs?
I think they can. This really looks like a team that was a quarterback away. A lot of good pieces on defense, a lot of young pieces on offense. I love this specifically for Garrett Wilson when we look for fantasy purposes. I mean, his stock really, really rose with this move because he won Rookie of the Year with just a myriad of different quarterbacks last year. To have a guy of Aaron Rodgers' caliber is going to be huge for him. You get Bryce Hall back from his injury, a guy that probably would have won the Rookie of the Year over his teammate had he stayed healthy all year. So it just looks like a team that's a quarterback away. Do I agree they probably gave up too much when you're looking at just general value? Probably so. They probably gave up too much, but I get it. Like, how often, especially when you're looking at the Jets, I'm a Browns fan, so I understand this problem, but how often do you get a chance to say, our team is ready, but we need a quarterback, and a quarterback of that caliber just happens to be available. Like that just doesn't happen all the time. So I think everything fit together. You have to overpay a little bit to make it happen. I get it. But I do. I think this is a legitimate playoff team with Aaron Rodgers.
So Carolina gave up way too much for the number one pick, but they got Bryce Young. So you get it, right? To your point, Garrett.
Right.
Houston, to me, gave up too much to move up 9 spots and take Will Anderson when you could have stayed where you were and taken Lucas Van Ness or Nolan Smith. Not the same guy, but still really, really good hotshot prospects. You got to give to get. And when you're moving up in the draft, you have to overpay. It's just what you do. So I don't disagree with any of the moves. But it's just, as you said, it's a draft capital valuation thing. And Carolina, Houston, and New York all got beat in the draft valuation capital game in those trades. Now, let's talk tight ends here in these dynasty rankings. Your TE1 is it Mayer? Is it Kincaid? Talk to me about Laporta going to Detroit. Talk to me about Musgrave going to Green Bay. Who's your TE1?
Yeah, it's Kincaid. I mean, we're talking about a guy that just is an incredible athlete, especially at the catch point. Like, he looks like the tight end that could be the next Travis Kelce. Now, we've said that the next Travis Kelce, like 18 classes in a row. So, will he be? I don't know. But he gets that landing spot too on top of it with Josh Allen. And that looks like something where, gosh, we keep getting beat by the Chiefs, and they have this elite tight end. Maybe
what about the Dawson Knox thing though? Like,
yeah, he's nice.
He's Dawson
good.
Knox
He's
is like
good.
Fetch from Mean Girls. It's not happening. Okay, I overdrafted Dawson Knox last season.
Stop trying to make Knox a thing.
Stop trying to make Dawson Knox a thing. Like the big body is there, the ability is there. Now look, we could have seen something different. We understand that Dawson Knox did deal with a traumatic personal issue right before the season started. I went for the mindset of he's going to play his heart out because he went through this. Maybe this affected him more than we thought, but I don't see it in Dawson Knox after watching him play all season last year.
Yeah, I think it's a great landing spot for him. Josh Allen with that big arm, he can get downfield too. So it's not just a, dink and dunk and catch stuff over the middle. Like there'll be a connection even deep. So I really like it. After that, the tight end situation does get a little bit tough for me to differentiate which one I would have where.
So you're not a Mayer guy. That's what I'm hearing here. You're not a Mayer
By the way,
guy.
I knew this was coming up because Rick is a Mayer guy, not a Kincaid guy, and he really wants you to agree with his theory.
No,
never mind. I love Mayer.
No, stop it. I'm not a Kincaid guy. I am a Kincaid guy. I'm just more of a Mayer guy.
Yeah. So with Mayer, when I watched his tape, I think Mayer is a amazing complete tight end. Kincaid's not a complete tight end, whereas Mayer is like the whole package. Think closer to TJ Hawkinson, who is very good. But for fantasy purposes, sometimes the blocking almost deters fantasy success because they're like, oh, we need him in on pass protection. We need him to help with
George
this.
Kittle sometimes.
Yeah,
exactly. So with Kincaid, he's a liability blocking. So they are going to always put him out to catch passes. Mayer and Laporta are neck and neck. I literally have them one spot apart, not just in my tight end rankings, but in my overall rookie rankings. I have them one spot apart. So they're neck and neck. I could go either way. I do like the fit in Vegas with McDaniels. That they've used a guy who was a good blocker in Rob Gronkowski for some great things. So I do think it is a very good fit. I love Laporta though, really good after the catch, which you don't always see that out of tight ends. So I was really impressed there. And there's just nobody else in that tight end room. Jared Goff's a closer to the line of scrimmage guy, and so is Jimmy G. So I think both of them fit in that sense. But if I had to pick one right now, I will go with Laporta slightly over Mayer.
Joey Wright in the room says Laporta, with the 6-game absence for Jamison Williams, could put together a nice start to the season and become an option.
For sure. It's a great point. I think, especially when you're looking at short to intermediate stuff, him and Amon-Ra St. Brown both will do some of those kinds of things. But, side note, like Jared Goff, what a win for him. I know Hooker was drafted, and so that puts a slight damper on it. But, I mean, you already have Jamison Williams, who is going to miss the first 6 games, but he'll come back healthy for the rest of the season. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown there, and then you draft a tight end, and then, you take the best receiving back in the class in the first round as well. So all the weapons at his disposal this year.
I like it. I like it a lot. And, with Laporta, it's amazing how things work out when it comes to timing, right? This is timing for him. He's getting the opportunity for the first 6 games, no matter what. And that's a great start of the season. But Garret Price, where can everybody find your work and connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Dynasty Price. All my stuff's with Dynasty Nerds. You can find me on the Dynasty Nerds podcast, or even here BSN on Thursday evenings, 9 p.m. Eastern time.
We thank you so much for joining us. And Rick, the argument there, I heard this great commercial the other day, and it's 2 sports anchors, and they get along on all of their takes. And so the end of the commercial is about how boring would it be if you were listening to a sports show and they got along on their takes. So I was like, this is such a great analogy for somebody that does sports, because it's true. You need Stephen A. and Michael fighting, right? You need these things to keep it exciting. So you guys going back and forth about Meyer versus Kincaid just made my heart flutter. Garret Price, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
You're the man,
We're
Garret.
going to
Thank
get
you.
to a quick break.
Absolutely.
When we
Thanks
get
for
back,
having
we'll
me.
be cover what's happening in the NBA and more. Chatting with you, Joey Wright. Thanks for joining. Wendy, you were a little bit late. You must have had to work late today, or you had an after work activity that I want to know about. Everybody that's in here, we'll be right back with you. You're listening to Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla right here on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Vegas Raiders have traded up to 35, and they give up the 38th overall pick. In addition, a 5th-round pick goes to Indianapolis as the Colts trade down. The pick is in. And, Coop, your top 2 tight ends, best tight ends available, are now off the board, as Michael Mayer is going to be the Darren Waller replacement in Las Vegas, catching balls from Jimmy Garoppolo, maybe somebody else in the future. But Michael Mayer is off the board. The Raiders have traded up, and I always look at this too from dynasty fantasy football standpoint. I always like the guys that are traded up for. Michael Mayer gets traded up for, as he is off the board now at pick 35. He goes to the Raiders. How does he fit in this system? Not only with Jimmy Garoppolo, but also Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers, some significant pass catchers there, including Hunter Renfrow now.
Eric, I love that you pointed that out, because that's the part of the draft that people forget when they're doing their analysis. They think about the draft capital, they think about the landing spot, they forget the draft narrative, right? This proves to us that the Raiders, at the very least, had Michael Mayer as high as Sam Laporta, or maybe even higher, because they're looking around and saying, all right, that guy's gone. We have to get this guy right now. And this guy probably is a better fit for what Josh McDaniel wants to do. He's used to Rob Gronkowski. He's used to Hunter Henry, these 2-way tight ends that can block and run routes down the seam. Sam Laporta is not going to do that. He's only 240 pounds. This guy is your prototypical real life tight end. That's why a lot of people were saying he's the best real tight end in the draft. Clearly, pass catching is at a premium. That's why Dalton Kincaid and Sam Laporta went first. But this guy's going to fit really well into that scheme. My question is, when does he become fantasy relevant? Because the vast majority of tight ends that are fantasy relevant are top 2 targets on their team, with Devontae Adams there and Jacoby Myers there,
that's not happening.
and Hunter Renfrow there. I mean, when does it happen, Moose? How long do we have to wait?
Yeah, forever. It might be a while. I mean, when you look
Yeah.
at it, but I do think he's a great fit.
We are back right here, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla. Great to talk to Garret Price. Great to look at this score. I know you are watching the game in the NBA while all of you are watching us on Bettor Sports Live right here on the Bettor Sports Network. What is going on? What I see right now is the Celtics up 50, a 50 burger on the 76ers 38. Tell me what's gone wrong for the 76ers.
Boston is playing defense tonight, LA. That is what's going wrong. They are dogs out there tonight. Hello, where was this in game one? They should be going for a 2-0 lead right now, not a 1-1 split.
Well, they're at home. They got the juice.
The defensive effort in game one was awful, dreadful. They're defending tonight. That's why they're up in this game. Let me give you the some Joel Embiid observations here, LA. He has 5 blocks. Five blocks in the first half with 4 minutes to go in the first half. Coming off of a knee injury where the reports made it sound like, and the Sixers made it sound like he had a severed leg, which I never bought. Stop it. Selling me on that. Anyway, he's got 8 points. He's got 2 rebounds. He's got 5 blocks. He has thwarted Jaylen Brown at the rim, one of the best blocks I've seen all year. He has thwarted Jason Tatum at the rim. So he's getting it done defensively out here, LA. And Maxey just scored to make it an 8-point game. Jaylen Brown was the hot button guy for me, right? We had a couple of props on him. Talked about him on NBA radio today. He had to be aggressive tonight and be the hunter. Okay, he is. He's got 18 points. He's got 2 trays. We need one more tray to hit that prop. And obviously at 24.5, I like where we're positioned here for his point prop as well. Jaylen Brown has answered the bell, and they're playing defense tonight, LA. That's why we are where we are.
So you're not concerned about Jaylen Brown. How are you feeling about Jason Tatum?
Well, Tatum is an eruption guy, an explosion guy, and that's what we're going to need here. He's got 7 points right now. Obviously, he's got 1 field goal. This is all very, very negative stuff to hit a 29.5 point over. We had the 9.5 rebounds for him as well. He's at 4 rebounds in this game. And so we're just about on pace for that. And right now I feel a lot better about that one than the point prop. But he's a guy, LA, that can have 18 points in a quarter. How about Jalen Brunson? I hit on Jalen Brunson's over last night, LA. It was 24.5. Okay, so first half, I see him turn his ankle. He's got 7 points. I'm like, it's done. This is a ticket you can just rip up. 23 points in the second half. Clutch shot, clutch shot, clutch shot. He had 30 last night. He didn't just hit the over. He obliterated it. So we're not out of the we're still in this thing with Jason Tatum.
I mean, we're not even at the half yet. So of course we are. We're not even there. But let's switch gears a little bit and talk a little MLB. If you were so concerned about the fact that you didn't believe that Joel Embiid could come back with this knee, how the heck has Bryce Harper been activated off the IL only 160 days after his Tommy John surgery?
Obviously it helps that he's he hits the ball. He's got to throw the ball a little bit. Probably a lot of DHing for him. LA, a lot of the reporting, either the reporting was wrong or Bryce Harper just went tough guy on it and just totally exceeded all time frame expectations for him to return. Around draft season, okay, the expectation was mid-season, July, something like that. It's the beginning of May, okay? The guy's missed like 5 weeks. That would have completely changed how we drafted because Bryce Harper, LA, fell in every single draft that I did. Dynasties, public leagues, he fell. And those that invested in Bryce Harper, like I did Fernando Tatis, because he was falling, not like Harper, because we knew that Tatis was going to come back on April 20th, but he was still falling into the 3rd round in some leagues. And I'm like, bang him, bang him, bang him. And now I got Tatis in a bunch of dynasty leagues, a bunch of redrafts. He's going to have a killer rest of the year. But if you drafted Bryce Harper, you're a big winner right now for sure.
The Rockies starting pitcher German Marquez to have Tommy John surgery. How many shares of Marquez do you have in your fantasy teams?
I don't do business with basketball players that don't hit threes unless they're big men. Okay, so that's Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, guys like that. Will not do business with them. And LA, I do not do business with Colorado Rockies pitchers outside of their closer. And because I'm taking offense when guys are taking Hader and Devin Williams and Edwin Diaz and the best closers in the game. I don't take those at the top of the line closers. I'm taking offense when those guys are going off the board. So I've got to play the in the muck waiver wire closer game with AJ Minter and Pierce Johnson and Gratterall and Phillips and just all these guys.
How does this get back to Marquez?
So my point is, like, I'll mess with Pierce Johnson. LA, I'm going to be honest with you. I have 0 rhymes on German Marquez. He is not on my radar. He's a high ERA and high whip guy, and so he's just not on my radar.
And it's because the pop with the ball, the altitude at Coors Field, correct?
Bingo.
Did you watch any of that series last weekend where Slam Diego was in Mexico City?
Yes,
The
of
altitude
course.
is twice as okay. First of all, those unis.
I know they're so
Those
dope. They're so dope.
Those unis. I feel like we could bring back Miami Vice theme music for those
So
unis.
cool.
But had I known, had I done my homework, I would have thrown mad money down on the over. The balls out of the park, the altitude there was almost double Coors Field. The scores were like not even baseball scores. It didn't even seem real how many home runs were happening. And I really feel like I'll be watching this next season. It definitely made a difference that it was a great hitting team, but I don't think it made that much of a difference. Now, mind you, the lines will be adjusted next year and they'll be prepared. So we might be looking at the under. But these games were massive scoring baseball games. Absolutely exciting to watch.
For sure. LA, you know that Slam Diego's my club. I've got them winning the World Series. I like watching them. I like their broadcast team. I'm here for it. I'm obviously a Twins fan. I guess it's not in the shop, but I've got a Twins hat just above me here. I'm a Twins fan. My NL team is San Diego. I just love what they got going on, LA. I do. And when Tatis has come back, and I've noticed this for years, when he is out, the team just doesn't have juice. They don't have spark. They don't have that magnetism. When he's there, he is infectious. He's like a very positive disease that spreads throughout the organization. Everybody's better. They're happier, more optimistic. They run harder. They play the field better. That's just the kind of guy he is. And so I've noticed that they're all playing better now that Tatis has come back. They got to get another starter at the deadline, Lisa, and they got to get another reliever or two at the deadline. I will tell you right now, they do not have enough pitching. Okay.
When is the deadline?
Late July or whenever it is. So, we're a long way out from that. I'm just saying the Padres are at least 2 moves away from really fortifying to the point I want them to make that positive and successful championship run.
The Astros lose back-to-back starters due to injury on back-to-back nights. How much does this hurt the Astros for the next month of the season?
Well, you lose Urquidy and you lose Luis Garcia. Did not have any shares of Urquidy. Just didn't trust him. And so he blew a tire. Luis Garcia, a ton of shares of him because he fell in drafts and he had 15 wins last year and his ratios were good. He's a strikeout guy. He's my type of guy. A starting pitcher that falls through the cracks, bam, that's my wheelhouse to take guys like that. So I've been dropping him in all of my leagues. I don't really know LA where they're going to go to. We'll find out, what buttons they push and what guys they call up. And then, depending on how they do, I'm all based on hype with that, LA. Like, I believe his name is Bryce Miller. The young hotshot prospect for the Seattle Mariners. They called him up last night, started. He'll be starting some games here because they've had some injuries. He had 10 Ks last night, LA. He was absolutely fantastic, but there was hype about him. Top pitching prospect in the organization. When I read stuff like that, I'm going to mess with you, especially when you're a strikeout guy. But I don't know who those guys are for Houston. And frankly, Houston's kind of weird this year. And so if I see one of these guys pop and gain a little traction, I'll be on them. But for now, I'm taking a sort of wait and see approach.
Well, earlier in the show, when we were talking about the standings right now in MLB, we were talking about 2 teams, Tampa Bay starting out with the best record in MLB and the Pittsburgh Pirates playing very well as well. They faced each other tonight. And guess what? The Pittsburgh Pirates got the memo. Tampa played better than them. Final score, 8-1.
Yeah, this is Freight Train meets Little Team That Could. That's what's going on with Tampa Bay and with Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh was due for a bit of a correction here, frankly, LA. And you're playing against the Rays, as you said, best record in baseball. It does not matter who pitches for the Rays. They just mow you down every single time. They're fantastic. And the Rays are getting a lot of good hitting this year. Let's see. How badly did they beat up my guy, Mitch Keller? I started him in basically every one of my leagues tonight. All right, not terrible. 5 earned. Whoa, awesome. He only gave up 1 earned run over 5 innings. He gave up 5 runs, but 1 of them was earned. He had 8 Ks. So my boy Mitch Keller had a good start tonight. McCutchen left the yard. He's got 6 dingers on the year. But for Tampa Bay, so Anderson, C. Anderson, I don't even know who that is. Got to save for them. Don't pick him up. I am so out on Tampa Bay closers, and I'll mess with like their setup guys who may get a close here. save here. They may get a hold there. But the guy that you think is the closer just went, oh my God, it's a 3-2 game. Here comes the ninth inning. They got another guy out there on that mound. So I'm not feeling that. But Lowe, Brandon Lowe, I guess I should say, has 2 RBIs here. He's off to a good start. The other Lowe, Josh Lowe, has a home run here tonight. The Rays are doing it, LA, but guess what? I ain't buying it.
Hey, it's a long road, okay? It's a long season. This baseball thing that we're talking about right now, we're going to be talking about it all the way through the NBA playoffs. We're going to be talking about it all the way through the summer. We're going to be talking about when the football season starts. And then we're going to talk about when the NBA season starts again. Like, this is some long stuff, but the Mets better pull it together because they got taken out by the Tigers tonight. Total score 8-1. We know that Verlander and Scherzer both returning to the Mets rotation during this series. Not a great start for the fact that during the offseason, all you heard was how much money the Mets have spent, how great the Mets are going to be, and what are the Mets doing? They're losing by 7.
Yeah, 8-1's not good. Not good at all. I will say this, based on all the injuries that have hit this team, the suspension to Scherzer, you lose Edwin Diaz, and Robertson's been fantastic on the back end of their bullpen. I'm okay with them being 16-15. You know what I'm saying, LA? They're hanging in there, kind of like what San Diego did without Fernando Tatis. You know, if you fall 7-8 games under 500, now it's a hole. Now that's going to bother you all year, but they're hanging in there. I think the Mets are still in good shape. But Scherzer got rocked tonight. His ERA is now a bulbous 5.56. Gave up 6 earned over 3 1/3. Only struck out 2. Gave up 2 dingers. This is to the Tigers, LA. This should not be happening right here. So the Mets are not in a great way.
Look, Scherzer is beat up by the MLB. I do not think that he was trying to pull anything with extra sticky stuff. But I listened to a special report about this, about how you're supposed to wash it off of your hands. And there was conversation that he used rubbing alcohol on something because it was getting to the product that they are allowed to use. And when you get a lot of sweat on it, then it starts to make this kind of, so he wanted to get it off. He thought he could get it off fast with alcohol, rubbing alcohol, which actually makes it worse and kind of changes the components in the structure of the product. And that's where the MLB, he didn't fight it. He didn't want to deal with it. And when he came out and talked about the fact that he wasn't going to get a fair arbitration, why fight it? That was the smartest decision he could have made. But that's got to be in his head a little bit too. Like, this is a bummer. And, that's a lot.
The sticky substance thing. Every time a pitcher comes off the mound, he has to put his palm out, and the guy, let me read your palm. I see you're going to be a millionaire in 5 years. Like, what are we palm reading here? The thing, it's just so stupid. I don't like the optics of it. I don't like, you got a pitcher vibing coming off the mound, whether it's a Gratterall with all his theatrics or a Karenchak in Cleveland with all of his theatrics and yeah. Oh, you got to look at my hand here. It just disrupts the whole flow. I don't like it, LA. I don't like it.
And I felt like he felt kind of shamed by the situation because it's not his style and it's not something that he would do. You're loyal to the sport, then they kind of turn on you like that. And he was pleading his case, then just decided now he's out of rhythm. All of that. You've got to be a little bit gun shy when you come back in a situation. Your Slam Diego Padres over the Reds, final score 7-1.
Let's go. Yeah. San Diego is coming around LA. And like I was saying, I like the vibe of the team tonight. Trying to go to the box score here. Where in the F are the Padres? What's going on here? Why don't I see them anywhere? Wait a minute.
Probably because you're looking on a phone, which is a really small surface, and it makes it really hard to find stuff.
Okay, so
I can tell you. What do you need? Tell me what
had happened was, why don't I see the Padres on here at all? Did the Padres even play tonight? No, here it is. Reds Padres. They've got that. I'm sorry. That was just like a weird thing over here, man. So the Padres now get to 2 games over 500. So again, hanging in there, making a little move here. Where's my boy Tatis? Didn't get a hit tonight. And on the mound here, it was Lugo. Nice. I got Lugo in a bunch of my leagues. He got his 3rd win of the season. LA, a reliever, kind of like he's like the Jacoby Brissett of pitchers in baseball, right?
Yep.
Brissett's kind of a starter, kind of a bench
He's not
guy.
Exciting, but you're comfortable playing him. When you play him, you get results that you need.
Exactly.
There's no pop and sizzle, shall we say?
That's such a good point. But he had a good start tonight. So
Dodgers beat the Phillies tonight, 10-6. It's a lot of runs right there. The Dodgers getting in there at Chavez Ravine.
Let's see what my boy Outman did. The runaway freight train for National League Rookie of the Year. I went 139 on FOB for him in Matt Deutsch's rotisserie league. Probably scoffed at by a lot of people, but when I want a guy, I go get a guy, LA. I make gangster moves around this piece. 2 hits tonight, 2 runs, got the BA up to 290. Outman is having a year, man. And here come the Dodgers, LA. They're playing some good ball. They got the record up to 19-13 after a very slow start. Mookie Betts is starting to hit a little bit, but I want to encourage everyone. If you have Mookie Betts, bail on him right now. He is an every other year guy. He's already showing it to you, okay? He's having a lousy year so far. People probably, it's just a slow start. Mookie will get it together. No, he has good years and follows it with bad years and then again has a good year. This is the depression year, okay? Trade Mookie Betts at once.
And let's see, we got 2 more games. It just reset. Okay, we've got the Astros. Okay, so here we are. So Dodgers, Giants over the Astros tonight, 4-2, low scoring game. Diamondbacks putting up 12 over the Texas Rangers, 7. And we already got to, did the Mets have to do, that's right. They had to do a doubleheader because of the rain here last weekend. So the Mets were probably a little bit burned out, reason being, but Tigers beat them in both games, but the first game was 6-5. Yeah, that was I thought there was going to be some makeup games. That's got to be brutal back-to-back games.
It totally is. They had a doubleheader on Monday with the Braves. But you know the city of New York. They're freaking out. The Mets just lost a doubleheader to the Tigers, and rightly so. The Tigers are still the dreadful Tigers. Max Muncy, by the way, shout out to him. He hit a walk-off grand slam in that Dodgers win over the Phillies. That's pretty cool. You don't see that very often.
So clutch for them for so many seasons.
What a year he's having too.
Yeah, and this is the year where I remember hearing people talk during draft season that like his best years are behind him. Like, don't expect much production from Max Muncy. Hopefully,
he was dreadful last year. He was awful last year. He was waiver wire material last year.
Yep, it wasn't a great season for him. But we are at the half in this NBA game. The Celtics have the lead right now, 57-49. Looking at the box, it looks like you are going to be waiting on Tatum, which we know could still happen. That's not a thing at all. Embiid, 13. Maxey, 13. Harden, 11. While I'm on Harden, did you see that Harden dressed as the Cookie Monster the other night to go to the game?
Yeah, it was the Cookie Monster. It looked like what do you call that thing that you wear on your couch? It's like a big blanket. The Snuggie. The Snuggie. It looked like he was wearing a Snuggie into the arena.
But he crushed it that game. So maybe he needs to dress like that. Maybe he wants to be his own mascot. And walking in as his own mascot in that getup made all the difference in the world because he played lights out, James Harden. James Harden became a major topic of conversation again. Now he's coming back down to earth again tonight, but we don't know what the second half will
Yeah, he's 2 of 10 tonight. Guys, if you didn't see that coming, I don't know. I can't help you. Like, it was obvious. You know me, LA. I always fade a guy coming off of a career high type of game or a career season, like in the NFL, like Jamal Williams, right? The running back for the Lions last year. What do you have? 18 touchdowns. Well, that ain't happening again. I can absolutely promise you. I put my wife's car on it. I put my pool on it, like anything you want. Okay. How much can we bet on this to maximize this? But Harden has, let me just make this comment. LA, the game that he had the other night, game 1, is the best playoff game he's ever played. He's played 154 playoff games. That was a playoff career high, 45 points. But he did it at Boston against Tatum and Brown without Embiid, championship expectations on his team. It's the best game he's ever had, okay? Like in the postseason, he's had better statistical games, but that was the best game he's ever had. So heck yes, he was going to come back to earth tonight. And so far, that's what's happening.
So what are the NBA storylines we have not yet talked about? The fact that the Denver Nuggets are leading this series 2-0 over the Suns. Now, I understand you could say it's Chris Paul not playing for the Suns. I can understand whatever you want to say, but if I can remember, You, my friend, you were clear that the Nuggets weren't even going to make it out of round 1 in said playoffs. And now here we are, round 2, and they're leading the series 2-0.
Right. Now, I definitely thought Denver was going to get out of the first round against Minnesota.
Okay.
But I had the Bucks stopping here in round 2. LA, this series is over. This series is over. Shaq just tackled Charles Barkley, by the way. Literally just tackled him down to the ground. Be careful with Charles's hip, Shaq. I'm sorry. I just saw that right there and kind of lost my train of thought
This
here.
is why I don't watch TV while I do the show. It's really difficult.
So let me let me hit pause on this halftime show. I'll watch the game, but not the damn halftime show. But in terms of Denver and Phoenix here, Phoenix is done. LA, they had no margin for error with their core four, the best core four in the NBA: Booker, Durant, Ayton, and of course Paul. Without Chris Paul, think about this, LA. They had a 5-point game in game 2 with Chris Paul in the third quarter. They got outscored by 15 points the rest of the game and lost by 10. Why? Because Chris Paul left the game. They had no margin for error. They have no depth at all. And so the house of cards is now going to crumble on the Suns. They're not going to get out of this round. And the Denver Nuggets are going to the Western Conference Finals, LA. It is happening. Literally, I would bet anything you want on that. And I'm sure the odds on Denver to win this series right now are crazy and not even bettable. But that Chris Paul being out makes all the difference. They're done. The Suns are done without him.
So you think it's going to be a sweep?
I could maybe see Phoenix winning one game, but it won't be more than one game. And a sweep would not surprise me. Although LA, Denver, to me, I'm not that into Denver. So I don't see them just handling their business and going down to Footprint Center in a great atmosphere and winning both games. So I'll give Phoenix one game. I think it'll be a 5-game series.
All right, so let's keep it in the West and let's talk about Lakers, Warriors. I mean, again, we always go back to this, but it's amazing to think how far the Lakers have come in the past 2-3 months. Trade deadline was a game changer. D'Lo has been money. A lot is going right for the Lakers, but can the Lakers beat the Warriors in this series?
Most definitely. Let me look, LA, at Denver 4-1 here. We're still getting good odds here, LA. I'll talk about Lakers and Warriors here in just a minute, but I was like, wait a minute. Let's try to find a betting opportunity here for the people. The Denver Nuggets are winning this series in 5 games, people. Like, I can virtually guarantee that. Paul is going to miss at least games 3, 4, and 5. Not playing, okay? Phoenix might get one at home. They're not winning more than one. I thought Denver winning the series correct score at 4-1 would be -170, -180, something really chalky like that. It's +220. This is a take what you got, your watch, your nice shoes, your Jordans, like put them all out there in the middle of the table in the poker game and win.
Okay, don't even say that with shoes because I got a private invite to a Christian Louboutin sample sale, which I did not even know existed on this planet. And it was yesterday, and I went.
And you did
I did. I will not put my shoes on the table. They're all still sitting in my hallway on the box. I'm figuring out how I'm going to reorganize my closet.
So it's like over my dead body with my shoes, right? Like,
I legit thought women would be fighting in there because I've seen these in movies, these sample sales. Like, you got to know somebody and a PR person has to invite you. There's security outside. They move them into ground floor units that are just in New York. You can do pop-ups inside places that are for rent, that are for lease, that are empty. They close the windows off with like brown paper so nobody can see in. There's a security guy outside. They're checking your ID. They're checking this ticket, and you're given a time slot. And you kind of got to make your moves right in this time slot. So you first go in. Now it opened at 11, but since we had our climb scheduled, even though it got delayed because of the rain, I booked noon because I didn't want to wait till like 2 or 3 because I thought all the good ones would be gone, but there was a lot. Don't worry, there was a lot. So I was like, okay, an hour's not a big deal. There's a lot of people in there. So after 5 pair at the sample sale, you get another 10% off. There was not one woman in line with less than 5 pair. And everyone just stacked their boxes on the floor and just kind of kicked their boxes down the way to the counter. It was a very exciting New York City moment for me. I took my content creator, Kay. It's Kay's 30th birthday in June. Kay likes to shop men's sneakers. Went upstairs, found a pair. I'm like, all right, I'm buying you a pair of red bottoms for your 30th birthday. This is how this is going to go down. Happy birthday to you. It was a magical affair. So when you even threaten putting shoes on the table for any sort of a sports bet, I just can't. I can't do it because I'm so excited about how many new friends these shoes are going to be, how many places we're going to go together, how many trips we're going to take, how much wonderful stuff is going to be in our future together as I bond with them pair by pair.
Oh man, that is so cool. That is so cool. So you obviously had to love. You're a Sex and the City fan, right?
Of course.
So
Yes.
your girl Sarah Jessica Parker, and like I'm kind of a nerd about this show. I've seen every episode 55 times.
I go to her
Charity
shoe store
watching and all this stuff.
regularly. I go to her store regularly.
She has I didn't know does she have a fashion store in New York right now?
She has 2 shoe stores in New York City. She has her own
that's
line of
awesome.
shoes. Yeah.
Because like shoes are her thing, right? She was always talking about them on the show, and so that kind of reminded me of you. But where in the heck were we? We were guaranteeing a bet here. Oh yeah. Denver series correct score. Denver 4-1 over Phoenix. I am so excited, LA, for the people listening to our program here to actually go out and bet on this and make money because I can. I'm down here in Florida. People go bang this right now.
Yeah, you say series. That's what you think the best bet right now is in this series?
Denver 4-1 plus 220. I'm telling you, they're giving money away. I'm telling you.
Well, everybody, you can go and put your money on it, but do not even think you're going to put my new shoes on it. Okay. I haven't even taken pictures of them yet. So I take pictures of them and tape them on the outside of the box so that when they're in my closet, I know what's in each box.
By the way, Jaylen Brown has 7 points here in the third quarter, including a 3. Cha-ching. We've already hit the over on his 3-ball prop at 2.5. He's up to, I believe I saw 23 points. We got to get to 24.5. Here's Jaylen Brown. Pull up 3 in transition off the mark. Rebound tapped out, taken by Maxey. So Jaylen Brown, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. We are.
So you all know anybody who hit this show a little bit later, Ricky's props came in. They went across the ticker. They were also on Twitter at Bettor Network. Jaylen Brown versus Philadelphia, the over 24.5 points. You also had Jaylen Brown versus Philadelphia over 2.5 threes. And then the other 2 plays were on Jason Tatum. We're going to wait and see how they play out. We get back, we'll get to a little bit more NBA talk. We've got a little list of what's more likely, and Bettor Boss put in every single cute shoe emoji in the chat, which makes me super happy. The way to a woman's heart is definitely through shoes. I'm, walk a mile in my shoes. I don't think they'd be comfortable in a mile, but that's what I'm saying. I'm sticking to it. It was a very exciting experience. I felt.
I'm happy you had that. How many pairs of shoes did you get? 5? Is that what you said?
Oh, no. It was once you bought 5 pair, there was an additional 10% off. I came home with a dozen pair.
Oh, wow. So you have a reorg. You have some nesting to do with all of your new shoes, and that should be some fun for you.
Yeah, first we're deciding which ones of them, coming to Vegas with me because, some of them are going to travel this weekend. It's my birthday. We're coming up. We did shoot an unboxing. I'm going to put this photo in your screen right now. We went up to my Sky Lounge and shot an unboxing of me with all the boxes of shoes.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that. Let me click off of that. Yeah, that's really cool. Look at you. Look at you. That's a haul right there. Holy crap.
It's a haul. I'm very excited about it. Life has changed a lot in the past 24 hours. We'll be back with you
because of your shoes.
Because of my shoes. Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network.
Bettor Sports Network. Collectible moments.
Everybody up here at U.S. Cellular. Sox 5 runs, 6 hits. The 2-1 to Bartlett. Swing, chop to short. Ramirez has it, throws. Bartlett picks the perfect game. His second no-hitter. People going crazy here at U.S. Cellular. He's mobbed by his teammates. A perfecto.
Now there's a steal by Bird. Underneath the DJ, lays it in. Right up, 1 second left. What a play by Bird. Bird stole the imposing pass. Laid it up to DJ. DJ laid it up at him. And Boston has a 1-point lead with 1 second left.
Out of the I formation on first down. Peterson the carry, looking for running room on the right side, has it to the 25, across the 30, across the 35, and out of bounds at the 40-yard line. Adrian Peterson has just gone over 2,000 yards for the season, the 7th man in NFL history to cross the 2,000-yard mark.
Well, a thundering ovation for number 66, Mario Lemieux.
Just the emotion I'm sure Mario is feeling in this place. You don't appreciate something until it's gone, and it's so great to have Mario back.
Yager turns around. Over to Lemieux. Mario Lemieux, his first goal in his comeback here tonight at the Mellon Arena. And the Penguins lead 3-0, and he is smiling like a butcher's dog. Mario Lemieux.
Oh, the band is out on the field. He's going to go into the end zone. The Bears have scored, but the Bands are out on the field.
Pearson moves in front of the STP Dodge. Petty comes back to the inside. They almost touch as they move down low in the bank, and you're going to be side by side as they exit the bank and head for the finish line.
Richard Petty goes back in front. They both spin. They're in the wall. Petty is sliding, slamming into the wall. He's coming down toward the finish line. Will he make it? Pearson is still running. The winner is car number 21. An amazing finish. Richard Petty's car demolished in the front end, as well as car number 21. An unbelievable finish, a terrible crash. David Pearson has won the Daytona 500. Leitner catches, comes down, dribbles, shoots, scores! Christian Leitner has hit the bucket at the buzzer! Pitched by Downing, swinging, there's a drive into left center field. That ball is going to be out of here. It's gone. It's 7-15. There's a new home run champion of all time, and it's Henry Aaron.
The most valuable player is Magic Johnson. 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists. He starts at center, plays forward and guard, and leads the Los Angeles Lakers to a world championship 123-107 over Philadelphia.
Whether you collect sports memorabilia, fantasy championships, or winning bet slips, talk about it on Bettor Sports Network.
We are back right here, Lisa, Ann, and Rick Kamla on Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. And get your golf picks and lots of laughs with the Tour Junkies. Now playing on Bettor Sports Network's YouTube page. Pat Perry is joined by Carl Paulson of PGA Tour Radio and David Barnett live from Qual Hollow to preview the Wells Fargo Championship for daily fantasy sports and betting. Subscribe to our YouTube page. Just search for Bettor Sports Network. Tour Junkies will be playing a replay of their show tonight if you stay tuned right after this show. But Rick, let's get to a little what's more likely. But first, Bettor Boss put a lot of emojis in there. And I think that's the face of a man who'd be worried to see 12 pair of shoes roll into a house at one time.
I certainly would.
I'm going to tell you something. I did not expect them to be as cheap as they were. Like, I heard sample sale. I know what they cost full price, so I know what I paid for them. But then when I walked in, they have and it's so great because they just write it in Sharpie on the box with the prices. And as soon as I saw the price, I was like, oh, when you walk in, the guy's like, after 5 pairs, it's an extra 10% off. You're like, okay, no problem. Yep, I might get a couple pair. But then when you see the prices, you're like, obviously I'm buying over 5 pair. Never going to, 5 pair of the price of 1. So why wouldn't I buy as many as possible?
It makes sense. That is quite the splurge. That is quite the haul. And so how many shoes do you think you have, LA?
Not a lot, because I get rid of stuff. So I was
going to ask you that. So do you cycle it out? Do you some shoes that
I'll get rid of
that you're going to take them out and I don't know, give away to charity or something like that? What do you do?
I will not keep. I will go through. I won't put these away until I get rid of the same amount. That's my rule of thumb. Whatever I buy, I have to get rid of the same amount. So it's going to be all freshy. And the rest are just going to have to say, we've had our time together. We shared experiences. We took long walks. We had good times and bad times. And now we're done with each other. So we'll move on.
Here's the thing, though. Your shoes understand that you have commitment issues. Your shoes are every conversation you've ever had. They understand that. So I can imagine that your shoes would be like, it sucks. You're Lisa Ann. I don't want to leave, but I get it. You put this out there. You prepared me for this. You've conditioned me to know that you have commitment issues. And so bye.
I actually shot an unboxing of all the boxes for YouTube that I'm going to post on my birthday. I'm going to set it up this week to go out on my birthday to entertain everybody. And I actually had conversations with each pair about all the things that we were going to do together and people we were going to see and good times on deck. Let's talk about what's more likely. And I want all of you to, it's like Dynasty League where you have to cut vets to make room for rookies. That's exactly what my closet is going to be like.
That's exactly right.
In the next 24 hours. The Eagles are now in position to win it all this season or not. What's more likely?
What's more likely is the Eagles are going to win the championship. LA. I need to spend some significant time in the lab continuing the organization of the draft and the fallout because the dust is settled. Free agency is in the books. The draft is in the books. We're going to have maybe one or two other splashy moves, but it's not going to be a move, I don't believe, that shifts the balance of power, like in Aaron Rodgers going to the Jets. The big moves have all happened, okay? So right now, LA, the Philadelphia Eagles are my pick to win it all. And this is a soft launch of my eventual official prediction on this, okay? But the Eagles had a great free agency. They won the draft. They are deep at basically every position. They attacked all of their needs in the draft. They got a safety. They got this. They got that. Whatever they needed. They got an edge. They got, another guy to play the middle because Fletcher Cox can't play forever.
But they did sign Fletcher Cox. They did sign another deal for Fletcher Cox, so he is staying. So that's great news for them. Does it concern you at all of the loss of coordinators that got completely poached from Philadelphia the day after the Super Bowl? Deals are done. I get it. That's as a coach. That's when you got to market yourself. But does it concern you for the players and for any change in scheme?
It's a really good question.
It's a lack of consistency.
Yeah, the thing is, Sirianni, he's the scheme. Steichen is not the scheme, right? Steichen was the right-hand man of the guy that had the scheme. So I'm not worried about the scheme changing. And, you know this, LA. Why would you change it? You had a guy that was the MVP of the league until he got hurt, and you were on your way to winning a championship until he fumbled, oddly, in the Super Bowl. Like, if he doesn't fumble, they probably win that game. But they have the best roster in football, LA. And this is what happens. When you are how many guys have been poached off of Sean McVay's staff over the years, right?
Belichick's staff.
Belichick's staff, exactly.
Yep.
So this is what you're a big boy, right? Sirianni? Yep. Okay, this is what the big boys got to do. You got to recycle. And that's not a concern of mine. I actually have no concerns about the Philadelphia Eagles, LA. Okay. They've got receivers, they've got runners, they've got a great offensive line, they've got a great defensive line, they've got sideline to sideline tacklers. Their secondary is absolutely bad to the bone. With the regeneration of that. So it's a soft launch of my official prediction coming up soon. But I do think the Eagles have put themselves in a position to be the likely champion.
Next up, Aaron Rodgers has a better season with the Jets or Lamar Jackson has a better season with the Ravens. What's more likely?
Aaron Rodgers has a better season with the New York Jets.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
I feel like Lamar Jackson is mentally where Aaron Rodgers was 2-3 years ago. I feel like, yes, the deal got done, but it dragged out for so long that there has to be a little bitterness there. There has to be a feeling of,
I like it. Did
you really want to do this? Or was it because you evaluated draft prospects and realized that I was good enough, right? There's no wow there. Like, they could have paid him by now. They ended up doing it anyway. Why drag it out? You got a kid that was the MVP, put up 1,000 yards rushing, a couple years back, never been on the wrong side of the law, great in the community. Like, what Lamar Jackson brings, I feel like there could just be a little bit of resentment there.
I love the take. I don't disagree with. Matter of fact, I completely agree with that. LA, their defense is not what it once was. They've got a huge rebuilding process on that side of the ball. I do think their offense has some upside. You draft Zay Flowers, really like that draft pick. You still have Rashad Bateman. You brought in Odell Beckham. You have Mark Andrews. Okay, your receiver room doesn't suck anymore.
Right.
But I don't know, LA. Lamar Jackson has to show me something this year. He's got to take his game to another level, LA.
Well, I think
it.
having more options at receiver is going to do that.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
But if you look at both of these quarterbacks, age not included situation, Rodgers automatically has more weapons, and he's just getting to know some of the weapons like Garrett Wilson that were already with the Jets before he got there.
He does have more weapons, and a way better defense, right? So there won't be as much pressure on him. The defense for that should set up Rodgers with some short fields. I'm not sure if the Ravens defense is really going to be setting up Lamar with very many short fields, where you can really kind of pile up the stats. I don't know. I'm just not feeling the Ravens thing right now. You talked about it, the lingering sort of just ish from the contract stuff, but I don't trust Lamar to play when he's below 100%. The last 2 seasons have been derailed with Lamar Jackson with the ankle sprain and then the knee sprain last year. And I get it, you're hurt, but at some point, man, it's like, all right, it's week 17. You got to come back and play. Joel Embiid
Yeah, but I wouldn't
tonight.
come back and play if I didn't have my guaranteed deal at that time, because now I could be ruining my career for whatever team would take me when I leave you. So you have to be thinking about this as a business. This is a business. Like, you give me my guaranteed money. Yeah, I'm going to stick it out for you. But if I'm still thinking I might be shopping this body around to go and get myself onto another team as their starting quarterback, I've got to have my pause, and I've got to be able to say, this probably isn't a time where I throw it all out there for you. You didn't throw it all out there for me. This is a business.
Ooh. That's an outstanding point. So, all right, let's advance the story here. Lisa Ann, the great, legendary, one-of-a-kind Lisa Ann. Lamar Jackson is paid. Okay? Paid. All the guaranteed money that you were going to get. It's not what you wanted, but you were never going to get what you wanted with the guaranteed money. You got tons of guaranteed money, right up there with all the big boys, right? Like that contract, right where he should be, right? Makes sense on the Baltimore side, makes sense on the Lamar side. So what I need Lamar Jackson to do this year, LA, knowing that he's paid and he's got about $180 million guaranteed to take care of future generations, I need you to play hurt this year. Is that too much to ask for the face of the franchise when he's healthy and rolling a top 10 quarterback in this league? Is that too much to ask, LA, for him to play at less than 100%? I don't think that's too much to ask.
I don't either, and I think he will do it this year because the money is on the table and it is guaranteed. Let's move it over to the NBA with what's more likely. Did the MVP voters get it right with Joel Embiid or not?
They did. I didn't. If I had a vote, I would not have voted for Joel. He would have been second on my ballot. Whoa, what is that? Well, Joel Embiid ducked Nikola Jokic late in the season. It's a DNP. It's literally my most distasteful DNP in the entire load management era. And I don't want to go super into depth on that, but he ducked him. He played the game before, he played the game after. He didn't play Jokic in that final meeting. That bothered the hell out of me. But LA, I wanted Joel to win this award. It's been 3 years in the making, runner up to Jokic the last 2 years. Now he beats Jokic. Okay. So I'm happy for Joel because he's a different player under Doc Rivers. He let himself get out of shape. Frankly, he was a little lazy, always hurt in the Brett Brown era. In the Doc Rivers era, he's been an MVP candidate every year. So I'm super happy for Joel Embiid. He earned this. He deserves this. And yes, the voters got it right.
Next one right here, very personal to me in this city. What's more likely, the Knicks or the Heat win their series?
Why don't you take a crack at this one first, LA?
You know, Big Face Coffee, it's really hard to go against him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if he's not playing, that's a totally different story. I just feel like this Knicks team is really scrappy. It's such a bummer that I'm going to be gone because somebody offered me great seats for the Saturday night game here at MSG. And I'm like, oh, but I'll be celebrating my birthday in Vegas. We'll probably be watching the game at some bar, some big screen somewhere. Might even hit a sports book because my event on Saturday is a day event. So I can actually sit at a sports book and kind of watch. But it makes more sense that the Heat win it. But if I could will it into existence, I'd like it for the Knicks.
I love that answer. It's different. It's not my answer. I think I had the Knicks in 7 coming into this series. I still had Knicks in 7. Miami winning game 1, really all that did to me was guarantee a game 7, setting up the cat and mouse flow so that it won't be a 6-game series. It'll probably now be a 7-game series. And I see the Knicks winning at the Garden in game 7, and it's going to be ooh la la all the good stuff. Jimmy Butler, by the way, LA, I can tell you this much.
You mean Big Face Coffee?
Big Face Coffee. I absolutely guarantee you that he plays in Game 3 on Saturday afternoon. I absolutely guarantee. I actually think that there was a little bit of load management involved in last night's DNP. I think Jimmy Butler should have played last night. I know it's easy for me to say. I don't have a rolled ankle, although I've played a bunch of basketball and I've had rolled ankles. Obviously, I'm not a pro, okay? But I don't know. It would have to be very, 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 very severe to miss a playoff game. Think about this, LA. They had a chance to go in for the super kill last night. If Jimmy Butler plays, and even as a decoy, setting up other guys, the Struces, the Caleb Martins, all this guy, and you win. You're up 2-0 going back to Miami. The series is over, okay? So I thought it was a little bit too casual, a little bit too conservative. I would have gone for it. And so I didn't really like that. And I think it's ultimately going to cost Miami. I think they had an opportunity to go in for the kill. They let the Knicks off the hook. Brunson had the big second half, and I think it's going to come back to haunt Miami. I really do.
I've got a random question for you. Let's see if you or anyone here in the chat can come close, or even our producer, Heavy T, on air. How much money do you think that Jimmy Butler brought in during the bubble with Big Face Coffee from his teammates? You know,
I'm going to say, wow, the bubble, they went to the finals. That was a 2-month stay in the bubble. I'm going to say $75,000.
It's coffee. I thought it was ridiculous that he was charging $20 a cup. That's a lot for coffee.
Oh,
You guys are, this is
NBA
just
players.
what he was selling himself out of his hotel room. I cannot believe he claims, because he doesn't want people to hate on him, so he keeps it at this range. But I'm assuming the number that is the cap. He says that he made between $1,000 and $6,000 selling coffee. You got to understand, he had to order the coffee machine. He had to have all the supplies delivered. There's an expense in running a business. It didn't just appear. But Heavy T says 60 grand. Like, you guys are thinking Jimmy is fleeced. He still has to work and go to practice. He's not a barista, 23 hours a day serving coffee. Like, he doesn't have a staff. It was in the bubble. I mean, where's the profit margin here? This was a one-man show. The coffee shop was only open when he was in his room. So he made between $1,000 and $6,000. I like the hustle.
Yeah, I mean, like Jimmy, he's on a max contract. He's in Michelob ads. I'm sure he's got a great shoe contract, and he's out here selling coffee. I'm a big fan of Jimmy Butler. I like his personality almost more than his game. And let me just quickly here bring you in on an epiphany that I had recently, LA, on Jimmy Butler. I had an incorrect opinion of him. All right. And you know that I'm a deep thinker and I'm always recalculating. Is it because
he likes country music?
No. Okay. I think that's a little peculiar, but okay. You like country music. I can dig it. I used to think, LA, that Jimmy Butler was not a championship Batman. Okay. Like, a Durant, a LeBron, a Kawhi Leonard, a guy like that. I thought he was a championship Robin. And then I saw Jimmy Butler, big boy, and out-will and out-bully Giannis Antetokounmpo, especially up in his house twice. Okay. He had 56 points, the fourth most ever in an NBA playoff game. And so I had an epiphany on Jimmy. He is a championship Batman. What's got to happen for Jimmy in the Heat, that he and his guys got to be healthy. Here, Dragic and Bam blew tires in the Lakers series in the bubble in the finals. Last year, they lost to Boston in the East Finals in 7 games, largely because Tyler Hero was hurt and could barely play. So if Jimmy Butler has his full crew, which he doesn't right now, like, he can win a championship. So that's been an epiphany I've had about JB in these playoffs.
I like Butler. I always have, even though he does like country music. I know quite a few. There's like one player.
Do you like country music?
I don't really listen to it. I don't dislike it, but like, it's just different, right? But the guys that are into it are really into it. There's like one player on every team that loves country music. So it just like throws off the energy of like everybody else. It's like, hey, just give me some Drake or some Jay-Z and we're good. Here we are. Or some Public Enemy. End of the third quarter right here. 92-65. Celtics in the lead by a landslide. What could happen in this fourth quarter other than you gotta get some more points up there? But it looks like your Jason Tatum might be a struggle. I mean, Tatum right now, we're looking at a whopping 7 points, and you needed the over 29.5. Can Jason Tatum put up 22.5 points in the fourth quarter? I mean,
no, ma'am.
But can he?
No, ma'am. It ain't happening. He has 0 points in the second half. Okay. He's 1 of 7. So okay.
He does have 7 rebounds, though, so I think you're going to hit on this prop. You need him for over 9.5 rebounds. No doubt he can get you another 3 rebounds.
The only concern is the blowout factor here. And if he goes back in the game, it's not the regular season. If it were the regular season, he'd be done right now. But it's the playoffs, and usually, even with a huge lead, they play their guys in the fourth quarter. So I do think we're going to get there. We won on both Jaylen Brown props, 25 points over 24.5. He's at 3 threes over 2.5. So the worst we can do here is a break-even night. But let's go get that rebound prop from Jason Tatum and have a winning night here. But LA, me and Antonio Daniels talked on Give and Go today. One of our segments was, what do you need to see from Boston tonight? And my answer was, LA, a blowout. You cannot lose game 5 at home to Atlanta and then come back and lose game 1 at home to Philly without Joel Embiid. This is not what champions do. Blow them out. Show me, show yourselves, show the world, show Philly that you are that team that we all thought you were. And that's what Boston's doing tonight. They are flexing on Philadelphia.
Petra is getting ready to say goodbye, so I want to say goodbye. You know, Petra joins all the way from Germany, so enjoy the rest of the night. Sweet dreams, everyone. I'm assuming that you are up for the morning to go to work, if I'm mistaken. So you have a great day. Everybody here that's been here for the night has been incredible. And here we are. We're looking at this last bit of this game, which is sad for Sixers fans, even though Embiid is back, which is exciting. Only 13 points. The high scorer on this team right now is Tobias Harris, who comes through at clutch time, 7 rebounds as well. Harden with 10 rebounds, but Harden with only 20 points. You've got no one up there like Jaylen Brown with 25 points, Brogdon with 19 points. The Celtics are just putting it up there and staying consistent. This is going to be a 7-game series, and the Sixers are going to be worn out by game 5.
I don't disagree with any of that. I don't. Doc Rivers is basically playing 6 guys right now, the starters plus DeAnthony Melton. You get a little bit of George Niang out there, but LA, you are making a good point here. Game 3 is Friday night, only one day off in between, and Boston is deeper than Philadelphia. They are. Look, I thought Boston in 6 going into this series, and I'm not changing that. I think Boston is better than Philadelphia. I think they tricked off game 1. I think they're going to go to Philadelphia now, still pissed off and urgent off of that loss, get a win in Philly, restore home court advantage, and then go bang, bang, and get game 5 at home and then go to Philly and close them out in 6. So I still say Boston in 6.
I like what we got going tomorrow with one standalone game. This just, you can really get hype about it. 9 p.m. game. It's a late night. I'll probably pull the all-nighter because I have a super early flight on Friday morning, which is what I love to stay up. I love to go to the airport so tired that nobody can irritate me.
And you just immediately fall asleep when you get on the plane, right?
Immediately. I don't even put my seat back sometimes. I just put the head on the window and I immediately fall asleep. But this game tomorrow night is going to be a defining moment for Anthony Davis to see if he can bring the energy that he brought in game 1.
I'm so glad you set me up for that. One of our favorite bits recently on NBA radio has been, hey, let's play everybody's favorite fun game. I know Matt Deutsch loves the game show. Which Anthony Davis are we getting tonight? Applause, applause. Are we getting the high motor version or the low motor version? LA? Okay, since we've been having these conversations, and I presume that there is no connection at all with him actually listening to our show, but cryptically, spiritually, we have ignited him, okay? He's got 3 straight high motor games. He's been high motor in 5 of the 7 playoff games he's played so far this year. And so the trend is becoming that he brings it every night and isn't lazy out there, okay? So I have no reason at this point to believe that we're going to get a lame performance from him in game 2. I do think Golden State is going to win game 2 and even up this series. And I predicted Golden State in 7, and so I have no reason to back off of that yet. I didn't think home court advantage was going to matter that much in this series based on LeBron and Davis and Steph and Clay and Draymond. They're so good and so experienced, and they've got championship DNA. These guys aren't tripping on winning a road game. So how fun was that game last night, LA? Let's just how freaking fun was watching that basketball game last night?
It was great. And it's been great to, the amazing celebrity signing. So excited to see Jack Nicholson back at games again. It'd been a long time since we've seen him, seeing how that's his grandson he brings. It's grown up. Like, it's been incredibly fun. This is a magical time of the year. And this is for me when baseball just has to kind of take a back seat. I mean, unless I go to a game in person like I did on Monday, I just can't choose. Like, I can't choose a baseball game over an NBA playoff game. That's just nuts.
So I'm having dilemmas. I completely agree with you. LA, I've got, as you know, 4 TVs on one wall. One of my TVs is out right now. It died. Okay.
Oh,
And
no.
it did. It died.
I'm so
it didn't
sorry for your loss.
It sucks.
This is
so
a tough time of the year because that could have been the hockey TV.
Well,
That could have been the baseball
exactly.
TV. It would
Exactly.
that's tough.
So it's creating a situation where I have to pick hockey or baseball. And because I'm maniacal and extremely competitive, I'm watching baseball. Okay.
Because you're in leagues, your fantasy hockey season is over. This makes perfect sense. But these hockey playoffs have been so good.
Trust me. I know I'm conflicted. And so that you're right. That TV that's dead would be on hockey, but it's dead. And I don't want to go into the whole long story, but I have a workaround. We had a guy come out from DirecTV and he's like, "Hey man, if you do this and this and this," they will literally come out and like not fix your TVs, but buy you new TVs. And it's a whole long story, but I got to play that game with DirecTV here. I hope they're not listening right now. And by the way, I got another TV that's dying, LA. My upper left TV is beginning the process of dying.
Are
just
they
like the
all?
TV that
Did you
died.
buy
It's
them
so
all
annoying.
at this? Did you buy them all at the same time?
No, they were all they're all Vizios, but they were all bought at different times because I started with one, then I added a second, then I added the third and the fourth. When I flew a dude down, a buddy of mine, an engineer from Atlanta down to Tampa here to set it all up on my wall because stud detector and putting all this shit on the wall. Come on, man, that ain't my thing.
Hiding the cords behind,
Hiding
all
the
of that
cords,
stuff.
all that stuff. And he's a scientist about it. And this was a science project. So I am about to be without 2 TVs and it completely sucks. It really, really does. I got to fix that. And I will soon.
You need to just either go to Costco or go and look around and see who's running deals on TVs. I mean, there's got to be something. Memorial Day is usually a time where stores run sales on stuff like that. Like that's kind of like a seasonal thing, right?
Yeah, I'm thinking I got to upgrade the quality of the TVs that I buy.
I'm a Samsung TV buyer, so you know, in case you were interested. I'm a Samsung across the board.
I may have to, because the Vizio thing, like to me, these TVs are dying too early.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? If it's like 15 years, okay, I get it. Your TV's dying.
Sure.
These are
or
not
you've
15
moved it a bunch of
TVs.
times and things. Well,
Yeah.
look, this is a conundrum that you're in, and I'm worried about you for it. And I know you're going to get through it. But this is you're lucky that these NBA games are standalones and they're not on at the same time.
Thank you.
You're
I
lucky.
can tell you right now, if it was football season, I would have this thing fixed right now.
You
know
would-
this, right?
You'd be unboxing that thing as soon as this show
Oh,
is
you
over,
know,
but-
I don't know what.
For all of
spare
you
no
who
cost
joined
to fix
tonight,
this TV. If it was
Wendy in the
football season-
room, Jeff in the room, Bettor Boss always in the room. So great to see all of you. We had 2 amazing guests tonight. You can follow both of them. Justin Fensterman, who hosts right here at BSN. He's a sports analyst for Fantasy Alarm. You can follow him at Fensty Sports. Garret Price, host of Dynasty Nerds right here as well at Dynasty Price. If you stay tuned tonight, you're going to hear a replay of the Tour Junkies. The next time I see you, Rick, I will be an entire year older. I don't know how that happens because it's only 7 days, but I am going to be an entire year older. I will turn 51 on Tuesday night. I will be sure that I make it to the show Wednesday. I've got to live to see 51. So I will see you at a new age. Oh, wait. Black Friday and Super Bowl is the best time to buy. This sounds like a crisis, Rick. That's what Jeff says. We're getting TV tips, but I know you got this. You got this, but I will.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But happy birthday, LA. You know I love you. It's a
I
blessing
love
to work
you
with
too.
you.
By the way,
Have a
I
great weekend.
texted you a video of me doing the climb and hanging off the
I
side
can't wait to
of the
watch it.
edge. So check that out. It's a really short one, like 13 seconds. I clipped it down so you just see me like leaning back and kind of singing. It was great. Thank you, Jeff. He says, great show as always. Thank you to our producer, Heavy T on air. Make sure you share this with your friends. Go to the YouTube channel. Put that thumbs up down there. Put in a little comment. You can always hit the arrow. That will send it to your Twitter, your Facebook, wherever you want it to go. Thank you so much for joining us, Lisa Ann and Rick Kamla, right here. Bettor Sports Live on the Bettor Sports Network. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great night, Rick. Have a great weekend. Good luck with the TV thing.
Thank you. See ya. Safe travels.